paid my dues time after time. I've done my sentence, but committed no crime. And bad mistakes, I've made a few. I've had my share of bad kicks in my face, but I've come through. And I need to go on. We are the champions, my friends, and we'll keep on fighting till the end. We are the champions. We are the champions. No time.
Oh my goodness gracious. Pinch me. Please. Wait. It's okay. It's okay. Don't worry about it. I got this. I'm going to. Oh, yeah, I'm pinching myself. Because let me tell you right now what just happened last night. I think you know what happened last night. This city is today a city of champions. Your Kitchener Rangers went and done us as a city so proud. They didn't just win the OHL championship last night. They swept the final series over the Barrie Colts. Swept. The Kitchener Rangers started the playoffs with a sweep. They ended the playoffs with a sweep. And in case you've been living under a rock and just emerging from beneath that stone this morning, here's what you missed last night.
Edwards broke it up. He's got O'Reilly. Sam O'Reilly. Empty net. Sam O'Reilly scores. The Kitchener Rangers are 15 seconds away. Tell Moosey to make more room on the bus. We're bringing the J. Ross Robertson Cup back to Kitchener. We are going to count it down here at the Sadlin Arena in Barrie. The Kitchener Rangers, in the minimum number of games, sweep the Barrie Colts, and the Kitchener Rangers stand alone. OHL champions 2026.
OHL champions 2026. Did you know that the championship last night was exactly 18 years to the day since the championship before that? May the 12th, 2008, the Kitchener Rangers won a Game 7 over the Belleville Bulls. And May the 12th, 2026, the Kitchener Rangers won a Game 4 over the Barrie Colts to sweep the Colts, win the OHL, and punch their ticket to Kelowna, where the Memorial Cup will start next week. There were a couple of dozen of you hardy muckety mucks standing outside in the pouring rain last night. No, earlier this morning, when the bus rolled back from Barrie and into the Memorial Auditorium, the Kitchener Rangers got a championship welcome as they returned back to our arena here in Kitchener. I am so happy for so many people associated with this organization. I won't even get into listing them. I'm just so happy for them. And one of my happiest moments last night was watching these players get off that bus with the crowd waiting in the rain earlier this morning and hearing the cheers from the people who had gathered outside in the rain, and they were just whooping it up. Matt Andonovsky carried the trophy off the bus. I could go on and on at great length, but I won't because, well, I mean, we do have 4 hours here today. I get emotional about this. This hits so close to home for me. It hits me in the heart. I've grown up in this town. I have cheered for this team my entire life. I have the absolute privilege of working around them and being at every game now where I don't need to buy a ticket and I get to be in the broadcast booth. And it's just an absolute thrill after all these years and all these hours and all these kilometers traveled to see the team do this. So I don't, here's the thing. I believe in being transparent. And so I will transparently tell you that I'm not going to tell you some of the things that happened last night. Suffice to say, there was an appropriate celebration of the first championship for this team in 18 years. We did not leave Barrie until the time that if we had left right after the game, we would have already been home because the celebration started there, and it carried on. Did the bus drop me off right at work this morning? I don't know. Did I just listen? I'm going to just make one more rule. I don't like rules on this show. There's only one thing that we really stand by, and that is, thou shalt not utter the name of the team that shall not be named. I will ask for one more rule today. If you don't mind, we'll just try to keep it down a little bit on the show today. That means you, Kyle, or at least give me warning if you're coming in hot, because I don't know how much these old ears can handle, but oh my, did we have ourselves a night and a very fitting celebration for the OHL champion Kitchener Rangers. I will not tell you what time it ended. I won't tell you what time it started. Just know that these boys, this organization, earned every bit of it. Every bit. So considering I have had very little, if any, sleep at all between the end of the game last night and the beginning of this show this morning, you are more than welcome to do the heavy lifting for me here today. Phone lines are always open to you at 519-570-2545, star 570, and 1-800-570-5715. And if you want to celebrate this hockey club, this is your chance to do so. I don't know how many of the players will be up to hear it, but we know, they know that we are behind them in this community. Doug is with us first thing this morning. Good morning, Douglas.
Good morning, Mike. You seem a little subdued for something.
Oh, gosh.
So over the top.
I know. You know, honestly, why, Doug? Because it makes me emotional. I've teared up I don't know how many times this morning because I am a big old puddle of mush.
Well, you know, just hearing you talk about it this morning makes me tingle all over again from last night. They always say Game 4 was the toughest to get, and Barrie made it tough on them, but they weren't going away without it. You can see it. And I was going to tell you, Patty and I moved to Tilsonburg 1985. But we had been coming down to my mother-in-law's house in Kitchener for years before that. So I was certainly well aware of who the Rangers were and was very, very much into them, which was tough in Tilsonburg because they all seem to have Goo eyes for London. But I followed this team for that many years, and that's why, as I said, it was kind of embarrassing you mentioned Don Cameron. I should have known better because I heard him so often. And, of course, I caught up with you and Torchy for the first time on Rogers. And, Mike, I've seen a lot of these go on under P.K. Subban, was the big kingpin for Belleville. You mentioned that series yesterday. There's been so much of it, and I'm so happy for all these guys, especially Mike Andonovski. In 5 years, he's put heart and soul into this, and this team has been very, 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 very blessed with a very strong fan base. They've worked on this arena. I'm very excited for next week, but I will say this before I stop: they're going to. I watched the second game last night for the second time between Everett Washington and Prince Albert. Either one of those teams makes it through is going to be as you might expect. That's going to be a bit of a tough go. But I'm so confident you guys have got everything just right where they want it to be. So congratulations to the Rangers, and next week, go, go, go.
All right, Doug, it's great to hear from you. Let me say this, okay? You show me. You show me the team that beats this Rangers team. You show them to me. Go ahead. I dare you. I triple dog dare you to show me the team that can beat this Rangers team. I understand there are good teams across the country. We'll find out in a little over a week. But my gosh, you mentioned Matt Andonovski. Here's a guy that spent his entire career as a Kitchener Ranger. I remember him being a healthy scratch for games in his rookie season because he couldn't crack the lineup yet. And he persevered and he worked hard. And here we are. Here he is today as an OHL champion. He carried that trophy off the bus last night. And I'll share this with you. One of my favorite moments from last night. And it's just coming back into my mind's eye now. It was only a few hours ago, actually, when I left him. But Jeff Kurzakis, the associate coach with the Kitchener Rangers, got to the final with the Mississauga Steelheads 9 years ago and lost to the Erie Otters in that OHL final. So he was that close and didn't capture the cup. And last night, or early this morning in the wee hours, he was sitting in the coach's office and he was holding that trophy like a baby in his lap. And it was one of the greatest sights. He had an arm around it, kind of cradling it, and that J. Ross Robertson Cup was right there in his arms because this Rangers team, from the front office down through the coaches to the players, earned this trophy. It was so nice to see for Jeff Kurzakis. Steve, good morning.
Good morning, Mike. How are you today?
Oh, Mr. Fakuri, I am so good, sir. I am so good. Thank you. How are you?
Not too bad, thank you. And I'm really over the moon about about how well the Rangers did last night, and they had a super year, Mike. And you know, it's just remarkable that the team did as well as they did, right from the beginning of the season right to where we are now. And I just like to say, Mike, to congratulate the team. They did a terrific job, and the organization of getting us here to where we're going to be heading to the Memorial Cup next week. And all I'd like to say, Mike, is you and Josh did a terrific job broadcasting all the games this year. And also, I just like to say I wish the team the very best of luck in the Memorial Cup week. And I really hope to God and pray that we can bring home that prestigious Memorial Cup.
Steve, it's great to hear from you today. Thanks for the call.
Thank you, Mike.
Steve is such a longtime Rangers fan. And I'll tell you what, I mentioned earlier, I don't know that the boys are going to be up to hear this, but we're going to make sure we save the audio and share it with them so they know how much this city is behind them and this championship. Scott is also with us this morning, Farwell's Force, member number 416. Good morning, Scott.
Good morning, Mike. How are you feeling?
I'm a wee bit tired, Scotty. I'm not going to tell you a lie, but I'm feeling great. I'm feeling great.
Well, you guys did an outstanding job, and just want to say the Rangers organization, the team, the fans, great support all year, and couldn't be happier for the team. Looking forward to the Memorial Cup. It'd be nice if the city could do something for the team for celebrating the Robertson Cup before they go out west. Since we didn't get another game tomorrow night, it'd be nice for the fans to, cheer them on for the Memorial.
Well, and Scott's phone just abandoned us there, but I don't disagree, Scott. And, there was that conversation going into last night, right? What if you just don't win Game 4 and you come home and win it in Game 5 in front of 7,500 fans at the Kitchener Memorial Auditorium? That certainly would have been something, wouldn't it? But the efficiency is important. Don't give the Barrie Colts a breath of life in the series, and finish it efficiently. Finish it as quickly as possible so you have more rest before you head out west to Kelowna. Scott, I will be incredibly disappointed with this city if something isn't done, not necessarily in the next week and a bit before Kitchener goes to Kelowna, but certainly after the fact. Let them enjoy this moment and then get back to work and get ready for the Memorial Cup. And win or lose at the Memorial Cup, this city, I'm sure the city will do something for the team when the season is done. This team, in my opinion, embodies this city. We may be the 2026 version of Kitchener, formerly Berlin. And there may be a booming tech sector and, post-secondary campuses populating our downtowns, but we are a blue-collar town. And this is a blue-collar hockey club. And they played with that blue-collar pride all season long. Unreal to me, the way these guys have embraced the harder aspects of the game, the little things that go into winning, blocking shots, doing the hard stuff. They're not afraid of hard work. It just, the team embodies this city, and this city had best put something together. I know that it will, and celebrate this hockey club appropriately. Dave is also with us this morning, Farwell's Force, member number 47. Good morning, Dave.
Good morning, Mike. I'll keep this very quick. I will say to you that was a great song to start your show with. And not only that, I'll submit to you that was the only song to start your show. Have a great day, and congratulations to the team, and go Rangers, go.
Thank you, Dave. Great to hear from you this morning. I couldn't think of a better song myself than a little bit of Queen, and We Are the Champions, because we as a city have a championship hockey team. First time since 2008. It was 18 years between championships, and the Kitchener Rangers earned another one last night. My good buddy Rock and Ronnie, Jason, hang in there for me if you can, please, just for a few more minutes. I got to get to the Farwell Show 5. We'll come back with more of your calls. We're not going anywhere. But I must do these things as part of my duties here. I may be tired. I may have got Moosey to drop me off on the bus right here at the radio station after the party last night. But I'm going to do the show the way it's supposed to be done. Farwell Show 5 for this. What day is it? Devin, what day is this? Help me out here. What day is today? I can't hear you. What day is it? You're not even there. Is it Tuesday?
Monday the 13th.
Monday the 13th. All right. Is it really Monday?
It's my Monday. It's Wednesday.
What are you confusing me for? What day is today?
Wednesday,
okay.
May 13th.
All right, Wednesday. It's Wednesday. Your Farwell Show 5. What are you doing in there to me? Why? I'm in a fragile state, Dev.
It's my Monday. That's the problem.
What are you messing with me for? You muckety muck.
I know. We gotta pull it together here.
All right, pulling together. Stop it now. What day is today, Devin?
Wednesday.
Wednesday. Farwell Show 5 for this Wednesday morning. Championship Wednesday. Number 1, 18 years to the day. After winning their 4th OHL championship, the Kitchener Rangers won their 5th. Overager Matt Andonovsky has spent 5 years with the hockey team and told us last night what the championship means.
My time here is coming to an end, but we got Kelowna now, so happy that I can end it on my own terms and not getting knocked out by another team. So couldn't be happier to this be my last year, and this is the result that we got in my last year.
The Rangers beat Barrie last night 4-2, sweeping the championship series. Kitchener will play its first game at the Memorial Cup next Friday night. Number 2, the Professional Women's Hockey League will have a Canadian champion this year. The Walter Cup final will feature 2 Canadian teams after the Montreal Victoire edged the Minnesota Frost 2-1 in last night's deciding Game 5 and sent the 2-time defending champs to an early summer. Montreal will host the Ottawa Charge for the first 2 games of the best-of-5 series that kicks off tomorrow in Laval, Quebec. Number 3 on your Farwell Show 5 this morning, Waterloo Regional Police are looking for multiple suspects after an early morning shooting in Waterloo. Police tell 570 News Radio the shooting took place around 2:20 this morning in the Fisher-Hallman and Erb area of the city. One person was sent to an out-of-town hospital for treatment of gunshot wounds. The extent of their injuries is not yet known. Number 4, the astronauts who flew around the far side of the moon are in Ottawa today. Canadian Jeremy Hansen and the 3 Americans from the Artemis II mission will meet with the Prime Minister. The crew will then visit the Canadian Museum of Nature to meet with some Ottawa area students. And number 5 on your Farwell Show 5 this morning, 7 more people in Ontario have been asked to isolate in connection with a deadly hantavirus outbreak linked to a South Atlantic cruise ship from Argentina. That brings the number of people currently isolating in Canada to 16.
Bueller.
And that is your Farwell Show 5 for this Wednesday morning, Bueller. We'll get to more of your calls, I promise, right after this quick timeout. We are champions in this city today. It's the Mike Farwell Show on 570 News Radio and Rogers TV. Oh, I took a phone call. I did. I answered the phone on my personal phone during that commercial timeout. Buddy from Peterborough, the one and only Dagger, had to call and congratulate the Kitchener Rangers. Unbelievable. Okay, we got to get to as many calls as we can. I know you're as excited as I am this morning. Rockin' Ronnie, good morning.
How you doing, Farzy?
Buddy, I've never been better. I've never been better. I'm a little tired, but I've never been better.
I'll bet you.
Yeah.
Yeah, a long night, eh? That song that you started your show with, it couldn't have been better, like that gentleman just said before.
Thank you.
Queen came up with the song for the Rangers today, and they are definitely the champions. I don't know where to start. This team is unbelievable, and I noticed on Facebook a couple of comments there that, oh yeah, well, because of the London players.
Nah, it doesn't matter, Ronnie. It's our team. These are our boys.
That's right, and a trade is a trade. That's how I work it.
Absolutely.
They got something. We got something. So let's go get them. Big Mem Cup's waiting for us.
All right, Ronnie, great to hear from you. And the man that built the team and made that big trade, General Manager Mike McKenzie, joins us just after the 9:30 news. Jason, thank you for waiting. Good morning.
Good morning, sir. I'm feeling just as tired as you are today. It was a great hockey game last night, and I don't think I can do it as well as you can because you're so good at what you do. But to describe the atmosphere in the arena last night, I don't think I've ever heard in a away visiting team crowd as loud as they were last night in the arena as the Kitchener fans were. It was quite just kind of breathtaking. You had to just kind of sit back and take it in. It was a great game, but just that addition of having the amount of Kitchener fans that showed up to the game last night was quite amazing, Mike. Maybe you can elaborate on that better than I can.
Jason, happy to. Thank you for the call. Thanks for being one of those fans. There were Let's Go Rangers chants frequently in Barrie last night, and then the Barrie fans tried to drown out our fans. And then the fans that were there, I don't think they had any security after the game. Everybody got on the ice with the Rangers at the end. But there were a lot of Rangers fans there, and they were in full voice. It was fantastic. Maureen, good morning.
Good morning. I should have maybe suggested this a while ago, but whoever composed your song about the jack wagons, we need to compose a song for We Are Up for the Cup or Are You Up for the Cup? We did this years ago. I can't remember if it was when we hosted or if it was when we had to go to play was it Hamilton? I don't know. But there was a song, Come On Everybody, Are You Up for the Cup? Something like that.
All right, Maureen.
I think we should do that. And I've been a fan since day one, and this is I'm really proud of these guys.
You and me both. Isn't it something?
Yeah, it's good. And kudos to the fans that came out. I remember when Derek Roy brought home the Memorial Cup, there was tons of people out there at that airport.
Love it. Absolutely love it.
Yeah.
Thanks, Maureen.
You're welcome.
Okay, enjoy your day. We'll work on that song. I might need a little time to wrap my head around it because, it's still hours after the big win. We're out of time for calls now, but remember, noon to 1, open phone lines, and the players might even be up by then. We'll keep talking Rangers through the show, including right after this update from the 570 News Center, when we're joined by Rangers General Manager Mike McKenzie, the architect of this championship team. This is the Mike Farwell Show on 570 News Radio and Rogers TV.
This is where today's topics turn into today's talking points. It's local and it's Democratic radio at its finest. This is the Mike Farwell Show on 570 News Radio.
They want to play for each other and they want to put their body in the line and they want to commit to playing the right way. And then we had good players too. You need good players. We had a heck of a team, so really, really happy.
The Mike Farwell Show continues
on 570 News Radio.
I just love how Rangers head coach Jussi Ahokas says hell of a team and then stops himself to say heck of a team. Jussi, you can say this is a hell of a team because it is a hell of a team. And a team like this doesn't come together by accident. I want to remind you that we really do work hard on this show. I plan for things in advance to make sure that we put together the best show possible for you every day. And yesterday, I took a bit of a risk. I thought that there's the chance that something special could happen, and I wanted to leave space for us to talk about it in more depth on the show today. And the special thing did happen. The Kitchener Rangers won the OHL championship last night. If they had not done that, we would have kind of been making it up as we go along here at 9:30 this morning. But because they did win, we reserved this spot in advance on the off chance, or in my mind, the good chance that it would happen. They win last night, and when we were down on the ice doing post-game interviews, I saw General Manager Mike McKenzie, and I asked him if he would come on the show today. And, of course, he said he would. And so our first guest on this show, fittingly, is the man who was the architect of this championship team, General Manager Mike McKenzie. Mike, good morning.
Good morning, Mike. We've done a lot of these over the years, and I will say this is the one that I'm extremely happy to be on with you for.
I am extremely happy to have you on for this, Mike, because you're right. We have done a lot of these over the years, some of them following a season where you didn't quite get to where you wanted to go. But let's start there, because you did get all the way to the OHL championship. How are you feeling today, Macker?
Tired, and my thumbs are a little sore from returning text messages. That's been my morning after I got my kids off to school here, is trying to catch up on all the text messages and messages coming through. So it's been a bit of a roller coaster celebrating last night, and just everyone's really excited, and just an unbelievable feeling at the end of the day. You work so hard to get to this point, and there's so many people involved, from the players to the hockey staff and the business staff and our scouting staff and training staff, and everyone plays a small part in it. It's not a one-man show, and it's just an unbelievable feeling, and really excited that we can bring this back to Kitchener for the fans and community.
The fact is, Mike, that you work hard every year. You've built good teams, and sometimes things kind of have to fall your way. Maybe you learn from, I think back on your first year full-time as GM in 2018, and you built a hell of a team then, too, that came up just short in the West final. But as you've progressed with this team and through this role, what did you learn? What ingredients went into the recipe to build this championship team?
Well, you touched on the good fortune part, and we certainly had that. And some years I've even mentioned that it takes a lot of luck and good fortune, as much as people don't love hearing that. When you lose, there's bounces that you could have gotten, things could have been differently. And when you win, there's bounces that you did get and things that went your way that just helped you get over that hump. And you look at some of those overtime games, and they could have gone either way, and we found a way to do it. And even injuries and rest and all these things, they all add up. So there is a lot of luck and good fortune that goes along with winning. But at the end of the day, the players have to go on the ice and do it, and the coaches, obviously play a huge role in that as well. So there's a lot of different ingredients and things that go into winning a championship, and it's not just one person or one player, and there is a lot of good luck and fortune involved, and we were excited to get those bounces this year. It's certainly helpful.
You came into this season, Mike, with a plan, I am sure, to build a championship team for next year, when it was expected that Kitchener would host the Memorial Cup. When that bid was lost, how did you respond to that?
That's a good question. There's a lot of different ways you could look at that. The first day, anger was the response. If we're being honest, first couple of days, anger. And then once, you wrap your head around it, it turns to more, I guess, sadness, because you start thinking about the community and what it would have been like to host. And I know there were so many people that put a lot of work into the bid, and then, the community was excited about it. Everywhere I went, people were talking about, when's the announcement? When are we going to find out if we get it? And so there was definitely a buzz about, hosting the Memorial Cup, in KW. And so, you're kind of sad for those people that they don't get to experience that. And then, so it took 4 or 5 days to get over the anger, sadness stage. And then after that, it was another probably 4 or 5 days of just really reflecting on where we're at, what kind of team we had this year, how it would look next year, the landscape of junior hockey, where it's at. Obviously, it's changed a lot in the last couple of years and continues to change. And so we had some good chats with, internally with our management group, our coaching staff, things like that. And we just ended up coming to the conclusion that, if we're gonna have a chance to win the Midwest, especially with the run that London's been on the last few years and how good they've been. And at that point, I think we were a couple points, up in the Midwest race. We just said, we have to try to give this a shot. And that's when we put our plan into action to go and add players. And we had some targets, and I think for the first time ever, we actually got all the guys that we had targeted. So it usually doesn't work that way, but somehow, some way, the trade deadline gods were looking down on us this year, and we ended up getting all the guys we wanted. And, it definitely changed our team and gave us, a lot better team on the ice, but also a lot more character and veteran leadership and all the ingredients you need off the ice as well.
The Ontario Hockey League, well, probably not unlike others, I suppose, Mike, but this is the league that we cover. It's notorious for rumors. As the trade deadline nears, there are all kinds of names being bandied about, and those names get linked to teams that they might be traded to, etc. At no point did I hear anywhere that Jared Woolley and Sam O'Reilly might be on the move from London, but they were two of the players that you ended up getting for your team. How does a deal with an arch rival, a divisional rival, come together?
Well, I'm glad you said that, because that's something we do pride ourselves on, and we like to be understated and stay out of the spotlight and stay out of the rumors as much as we can. I know that's part of the business, and especially in pro hockey, it's hard to do. But that's something we pride ourselves on, is not having guys' names out there on social media as much as possible. And they are still teenage kids, and I understand that's part of the business, but that is something that we do intentionally and try to do. So I'm glad that that's the case. But it's definitely a unique circumstance making a trade with a rival like London. It hasn't happened, rarely ever. And when it does, it's usually not a trade of this magnitude. It's usually like a draft pick swap or something like that it ends up being kind of meaningless. So I think it just was the right timing probably for both teams, and where they were at and where we were at, and it made sense. And I think, that's why they're a good organization, is they make hard and good decisions. I'm sure it wasn't easy trading those guys away in general, and I'm sure it wasn't extra difficult to trade them to a division rival that you're battling with for the division. So it's definitely unique, but those guys played such a huge role in what we did. I don't think we win without Sam O'Reilly and Jared Woolley, that's for sure. And the other guys we got at the trade deadline. So they were really important to on ice, but important to our room as well, and providing our guys with a bit of a sounding board for, they've done this before. They know the recipe. They know what it takes. They understand, big games and the ups and downs and roller coaster ride. And they've played in a Memorial Cups too. So now we're going to have the advantage of having guys that have been through this before, and other guys on our team can lean on heading into a situation where, they're probably the only guys outside, I guess, of probably Dan Liebold that's been to this point before.
Was there a point in this second half of the season, maybe even just earlier in the playoffs, Mike, that you let yourself believe that this might be it? Again, you've built very good teams before. This one made it. Was there a point that you thought this actually was a possibility?
I don't think you let your guard down until I didn't, at least, until O'Reilly put that puck in the empty net last night. Especially with the way the Barrie series had gone, we know that it goes right to the buzzer. So I think, looking back on it, I think after the trade deadline, you make the moves and you think they're going to work because you make them, obviously, and you want to do it. You never know for sure how it's going to look once you get new guys on new team, different roles, different things, chemistry, all that stuff. So I think maybe a few weeks after the trade deadline, when I saw the belief that our group had and how we were playing, you start to think, maybe this team's a little bit different, and it just had a different feel and different look to it. And I think, that's when you start thinking, you know what, maybe we have a chance. But then, it was such a battle in the West right down to the end, like with Windsor and Flint, like right on our tail there, that we had no breathing room basically right until the end because they won so many games as well. So, and then you get into playoffs and it's like, every series is a roller coaster, and we only lost 2 games throughout the whole thing, which is actually crazy to think about. Last night I said to someone after we won, I said, I can't believe we only lost 2 games. It feels like we were like up, down, all around, and it's just a wild ride of emotions in game, but also just like through a whole series and through a whole playoff run. So it doesn't really hit you until the final buzzer goes, but I think there was definitely belief in this group from myself and the coaching staff and the players themselves, from probably mid to late January when we kind of cemented our team.
There's no question that there are a lot of people involved in building a championship team and a championship culture, and you've already alluded to that. I guess the thing is, when you get to this point, Mike, everybody gets that individual moment when the J. Ross Robertson Cup is handed to them, and you got that moment last night. How did it feel for you to hoist that trophy?
Oh, it was unbelievable. It's something that's in the back of your mind. It has been in the back of my mind for years, and it's something that has eluded us. And there's been a lot of frustration and nights where you come home and you're angry and you're upset, or you're self-doubt creeps in, and about decisions you've made or things you've done, and you keep going and fighting through that. And so at the end of the day, when you can lift the trophy over your head, that's the moment where it all doesn't matter anymore. And I was so happy for so many people, not just myself, but just the people in our organization. There's so many good people, the people in the community. I mean, there's people that come to the rink every Friday night and cheer us on. And it's just such an unbelievable fan base and community that we're so excited to get to share this with them and bring the trophy back home.
Does it get a little addicting, maybe, Mike? You want to do it again soon, right?
Well, yeah, it does. I said to someone last night too, it's the best part of winning this championship is that you get to keep playing and go try to win another one in a week from now. So it doesn't get much better than that, getting to win a championship and then getting to play for another one right away. So we'll take a day or two here to kind of reset and start prepping for Kelowna. We're excited to get out there, and it's going to be something we haven't done yet, but I know the whole group's looking forward to it. And we picked the right year to make it, with the host city being Kelowna, that's for sure. So we're excited to get out there. It's going to be a fun experience.
I don't know that congratulations is a big enough word for all the work that has gone into this, but it's the best one that we've got. Congratulations, Mike, to you and the entire organization for the culmination of a championship season with that trophy last night. Way to go, and thanks for joining the show this morning.
Yeah, thank you, Mike. Appreciate the support throughout all the years, and this one's for the KW community. We love you guys, and thanks for everything.
I love it. We'll talk again soon, Macker. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Mike McKenzie, the general manager of the Kitchener Rangers. This one's for the KW community. This blue-collar hockey club in this blue-collar town has won the OHL championship for the first time in 18 years. And now, off to the Memorial Cup, the Rangers go. Jared Woolley and Sam O'Reilly, those two players acquired from the London Knights at the trade deadline, have won back-to-back-to-back OHL championships, 3 in a row. The only other player in the Ontario Hockey League to ever do that, to the best of my knowledge, was Scott Timmins. Used to play for the Kitchener Rangers, won the OHL championship in 2008, got traded to the Windsor Spitfires, and won the OHL championship again in 2009 and 2010. Sam O'Reilly and Jared Woolley win the OHL championship in 2024, 2025 with the London Knights, and now in 2026 with the Kitchener Rangers. And for what it's worth, Sam O'Reilly has been to 4 straight championships. In 2023, O'Reilly went to the championship with the London Knights, but lost to Peterborough. But he was still there. And then he won the next 3. Sam O'Reilly has never had a season in this Ontario Hockey League that did not end in the OHL final. Find me another player that's had a run like that. This Kitchener Rangers team has done this community proud, and we'll have time for a few more of your phone calls before the 10 o'clock news if you'd like to send any congratulations over the air on the Mike Farwell Show. This is 570 News Radio and Rogers TV.
But at the end of the day, players have to go on the ice and do it, and the coaches obviously play a huge role in that as well. So there's a lot of different ingredients and things that go into winning a championship, and it's not just one person or one player, and there is a lot of good luck and fortune involved, and we were excited to get those bounces this year. It's certainly helpful.
Kitchener Rangers General Manager Mike McKenzie on the morning after the J. Ross Robertson Cup championship win. By the way, the Maple Leafs have fired Craig Berube. Oh, you Leafs, good thing we've got our Rangers. Back to the phones before the 10 a.m. update. Ernie, good morning.
Hey, I'm just laughing at the last update. What's going on with that circus there? But
I don't want to talk about
Mikey,
it. Yeah.
I know. Let's focus on this here. Mikey, let's get your arse to Kelowna. That's what I said last night, and I'm glad we're getting you down there, buddy. Hey?
Oh, you're a good man, Ernie. I hope my fat arse fits on a plane somewhere, let me tell you.
Oh, man. So just watching it last night, I was watching it with my wife. Michelle's like, are they in Kitchener? And I'm like, no. She's like, all I'm hearing is let's go Ranger. I'm like, I know. Like, it's awesome.
Yeah,
and
the fans were unbelievable.
And so, yeah, a good friend of ours, he billets to the Rangers here at a good old New Dundee. And he was down there last night, and I got to see some of his pictures of him being on the ice. And really cool, too, when you think about it, where a guy's building with these kids, or he has them, and he gets to kind of share that moment with them, too. So he did the drive down with his son, and he got the pictures with him. Like, what a cool experience, you know, Mike? So really happy for you. And, yeah, there's one more to go here now. Let's go to the next one.
I love it, Ernie. Oh, my gosh, it gives me goosebumps. I can't think about it too much. I get emotional. I really do. Brad, good morning.
We got to tell Ernie he's got to clean his pool, okay? I know he's still listening. He's got to clean his pool for sure.
All right, Ernie, clean your pool. What's the matter with you?
Mike, I just say, hey, way to go, Rangers. What an awesome game. I didn't realize that about Sam O'Reilly. Holy cow.
That's nuts, eh? That is insane.
What a resume.
Yeah.
You said blue collar. Yeah, and that's totally our roots. Obviously, we've got a lot of other businesses sprinkled in here, but I'm thinking when they won it last in 2008, that was the height of the financial crisis. If you remember what was going on in this neck of the woods in KW, It was disarray.
Yeah.
Here you get the team representing community. And I'm going to say right now, I'll throw another word in there that describes our town, our region, our livelihood, and it's resilience.
Yeah,
that's a word that I think you could probably staple to their jerseys as well, right? And so on. And it's just it's a great thing for the community. Wow, Leafs can Berube, holy cow. They're just stripping it right down, aren't they?
They sure are, Bradley. They sure are. Great to hear from you today. Thanks for calling in.
Thanks, brother. Bye-bye.
All right, we got to get to the news center for an update. We'll talk more about these champion Kitchener Rangers as the show goes on. It's the Mike Farwell Show. Is it loud in here? Is it bright? Can I turn off the lights? 570 News Radio and Rogers TV. Wednesday mornings at this time, we take a moment to mind Ottawa's business. Well, that's what they do at the Blacklocks Reporter, the only reporter-owned and operated newsroom covering our nation's capital. You can find them online, blacklocks.ca. Well worth your subscription. And the managing editor there joins us every Wednesday morning at this time for a conversation about some of the stories that the Blacklocks Reporter is following. Tom Korski is said managing editor. Good morning, Tom.
Good morning, Mike.
What is going on at Canada Post?
Well, they're in need of constant refinancing to meet their overhead, just to meet expenses, really to avoid insolvency. The cabinet on March 30th rolled over two-thirds of $1 billion in financing, $672 million. And the order was not clear from Cabinet. Canada Post says it wasn't new money, it was elapsed appropriations given budget year differences in funding. But either way, they are now reliant on these zero interest, no payment schedule loans, air quotes, loans from Cabinet, now into 2027. At the same time, Mike, there's been discussion, but Cabinet won't release this. Management has talked about responding to what the direction from the Department of Public Works, which oversees Canada Post, to cut the fat. I quote the minister accurately. And they're looking, for instance, at rural closures. Thousands of post offices could be up. Tens of thousands of jobs are on the through attrition, according to their annual report. I'm with you. Like, this is a public institution and Business Confederation. How about some forthcoming data from Cabinet? What's happening? Where are you going? How much? When? What? How? And they just won't do it.
Well, and are we even encouraging them to do that? It's millions and hundreds of millions after hundreds of millions here, Tom.
It is. And the problem is, this is a political hot potato. It really is. People say, well, I don't even use the post office anymore. But a lot of people who do care about it a lot. For instance, small business or people in country ridings. You look at those post offices in the rural areas. 3 to 6 million people live in districts where really the only federal presence in the municipality or county is the post office. And so you know that you're going to get blowback when those people hear the news that the moratorium has been lifted and their office is going to be closed. Mike, if it was easy, anyone would have done this. Harper, in the day, this is now ancient history, commissioned some research into privatization. Whatever the solution is, silence is not working, and we have a secret isn't working. They're trying to avoid blowback, and it's just going to end badly. But I agree with you. The why Cabinet is being obtuse, deliberately obtuse, while they award these hundreds of billions of dollars in no-interest loans to keep the doors open, it's beyond comprehension.
Okay, let's keep our eyes on the dollar signs here for another moment, Tom, because we've had our elbows up. We responded to U.S. tariffs with counter tariffs of our own. But how did those counter tariffs affect our Canadian economy?
This was actually fascinating. The Bank of Canada got real excited about this because they said, well, rarely in a blue moon do you get a chance to actually see what happens in terms of the impact of tariffs on the economy. And so there was that period, approximately 6 months last year, when Cabinet imposed 25% over-the-counter tariffs on U.S. goods from appliances to orange juice, about $30 billion. What happened? It turns out that most retailers, wholesalers, most companies absorb most of the cost. Only about 6% of those tariffs wound up in retail prices. And retailers and manufacturers, the rest of them, really ate the cost on the rest of it. This has been, there's fascinating research on this, Mike. Years ago, do you remember when we had like a 64-cent dollar? The Senate actually studied this. Why did people who imported, for instance, a Brooks Brothers suit from New York, not increase their price dollar for dollar, resulting in a 45% increase? Because they knew people wouldn't pay. So this is the problem with tariffs. They're very destructive. Consumers don't get the hit right off the top, but companies will absorb the cost for as long as they can, but then it becomes very dangerous. Fascinating study.
Indeed it is. I also find rather fascinating, because I guess my mind just works in weird ways, but rabbits and hamsters and others, oh my, the National Research Council of Canada is still into live testing on animals?
And you say, who cares about that? I'll tell you who does. Over 66,000 people who petitioned the Department of Health against this 3 years ago. Number one topic in letters, emails, and correspondence to the Department of Health involved live animal testing. Mrs. Harper, in the day, this goes way back to 2012, endorsed a Senate bill to restrict live animal testing in federal labs and in the cosmetics industry in particular. There's been legislation on this. What did the National Research Council do when no one was looking? Just yesterday, they issued an advance contract notice. They want to buy more than $1 million worth of adorable bunnies and hamsters and assorted rats and mice, which people care less about, from a lab in a suburb of Montreal for their biologics research program. But I'll tell you, people who care about animal testing care a lot, kind of like the post office, and they're going to get steamed about this. It's astonishing, Mike, the volume of correspondence on this. MPs really get it when people hear about this.
I find it rather astonishing, Tom, that we live in an era, as we do today, where there are members of the media who are either accredited or blacklisted by our federal government.
Isn't that something? They had a secret meeting. We see this through access to information. It was on the 10th of March. And what happened at that secret meeting? Members of the Privy Council, that's the Prime Minister's staff, and Treasury Board, Revenue Agency, Department of Foreign Affairs and Immigration, they had a secret meeting. And the meeting was to discuss who would be, you're correct, air quotes, accredited. Cabinet is having a problem with the Internet. They already have problems with freewheeling communications medium, like, for instance, talk radio. And Internet has really been vexing them. It's not like the old days when you could golf with the publisher and everyone knew what cards they were playing from. When you hear Cabinet talk about Internet disinformation, they don't want to talk about the government disinformation. And they had a meeting to decide who will go on the blacklist and who is going to be a good boy, and we will talk to them. We've been blacklisted for years. It's fascinating that they are now formalizing this. I'm not describing Zaire. I'm describing a G7 country called Canada. And the irony, of course, was the Prime Minister on World Press Freedom Day, my least favorite observance, said, I love everything about the press protects what it means to be Canadian, he said. It was Jesus would have wept. The speech was that beautiful.
Tom, I always feel like I'm being so biased in these conversations because, of course, it impacts us directly. But we need to not only be aware of this, maybe raise our voices about it. And I don't just mean you and I mean anybody in this country who believes in a free press, because if we do not have that free press to hold institutions like our government to account, Well, we are in deep doo-doo indeed, are we not?
Oh, you're going to have to accept what they tell you. You know, the analogy is, I'll keep it short, Mike, it's the constable on patrol and the kid with a smartphone. Cops were very slow to realize that every kid had a cell phone and could take a picture. So police could no longer do what they had done every day for years. That applies to courts, it applies to Parliament, and it also applies to media. Media can no longer do what they did for years, and the government is having some trouble with that. And the answer, of course, is to do what police did and be better. But that's hard, and it's easier to try to censor. And you know, this cabinet has a fetish for control. They've introduced 2 censorship bills. That was before they had a majority. Those bills failed. You bet they're going for it a third time.
Tom, keep up the great work, and thanks for being here again this morning.
Thank you, Mike.
Tom Korski, managing editor at the blacklisted Blacklocks Reporter, joins us every Wednesday morning just after the 10 a.m. news as we mind Ottawa's business here on the program. Blacklocks is the only reporter-owned and operated newsroom covering our nation's capital. You can learn more about them, see their stories, and get yourself a subscription at blacklocks.ca. You know, that conversation about the freedom of the press, or the lack thereof in some instances. Look, I firmly, obviously, believe in that freedom of the press. I believe that we still have that and exercise it here on this show. And until my last breath is uttered on this program, I am determined to keep it that way. This is a place that we will gather on a daily basis to discuss the issues of the day. We will share our opinions on them. We will do so civilly. We will disagree from time to time, and that's quite all right, as long as we are being civil in our disagreements. But it's more than okay to share a thought, an idea, an opinion on what's going on. For example, and I've been hearing about this quite a bit, and I'm glad, because it's this important to me. We are in a municipal election year. In October of this year, we will vote for the representatives who will lead our local governments and school boards for the next 4 years. First and foremost, the rather pitiful turnout that we get in municipal elections frustrates me, because it is our local government that has the greatest impact on our daily lives. Every single day, you are doing something that is governed by our local leaders. And I wish we took a greater interest in our participation. But one of the things that is so important to me this time around is a representative who is seeking a seat on council in Waterloo. And I think this individual's record is so spotty that what we have here is an opportunity to ensure that his time in any level of local leadership is gone. He has sat as a school board trustee for the past 2 terms, 8 years. And this is where I think his record, well, you can judge it for yourself, but the record is spotty at best. That's the nicest word I can use for it. When it comes to the manner in which he has conducted himself at school board meetings, and quite frankly, the egregious waste of school board dollars, not the least of which was being a part of that hiring and firing decision of the former director of education with our public school board. But when you are going to the ballot box in Waterloo, I want to be clear about this, and I want to be specific about this. In the city of Waterloo, when you go to the ballot box in October, if you see the name Scott on your ballot, just skip right by that name. In Waterloo, keep the city of Waterloo scot-free in this election. And then the damage that has been done, from my estimation, and in my opinion, his track record, you can look it up for yourself, can be gone, because you can't be a school board trustee and run for city council. So if he doesn't get voted in to city council in Waterloo, then no more damage can be done, from the conduct at meetings to the wasteful decisions made financially, etc. So this October, I implore you to keep the city of Waterloo, just in the city of Waterloo, keep it scot-free. One of the other things that occurs to me in thinking about freedom of the press and our access here on this radio station, through this show and elsewhere, to elected leaders, etc. I don't know what's going on at the province, or maybe I do. I always get, here's the thing, my antennae are raised when we are getting bombarded. In fact, we got a couple from the feds too. So the federal Liberal government and our provincial progressive Conservative government have been pitching us up the yin-yang. Everybody, it seems, wants a piece of this show lately. Why would that be? What message does our provincial government and our federal government want to get out so badly that they're coming to us? It's not us reaching out to them for comment on this or an interview on that. They are reaching out to us because they've got good stories to share. Well, I'll bet you do. But we decide. Like, the tail don't wag the dog on this show, okay? Let's just be clear about that. When we want you, we'll let you know. I promise. So many emails just this week. Again, my spidey sense starts to tingle. What's up with this? Why are they so interested in getting those stories out there? They want to get into the news cycle for all of the ribbon cuttings and the funding announcements. Again, don't call us. We'll call you. And in the meantime, we will hold you to account on this show, as we do Wednesday mornings with the Black Locks Reporter. Take a quick break here. When we come back, your daily reminder that not everyone is a jackwagon. Stay with it. By the way, I'm making this one totally selfish. I'm warning you now, okay? It's not all about me, but it's all about me. It's not everyone's a jackwagon. Coming up on the Mike Farwell Show, 570 News Radio and Rogers TV. My apologies. I just had to get all my props ready. And you just have to know that the props are here. I'm not even sure if I'm allowed to actually show them on the television. Is this... Devin, I am your responsibility. Do you understand? Do you understand the responsibility that you have every day?
It weighs heavy on my shoulders.
Okay. So am I allowed to show this stuff on the TV camera? If the TV camera sees it, is that allowed?
I'm declaring yes.
Okay. I think it is. I'm just not supposed to drink it on the air, which I shouldn't do even if I was just on the radio, but even, right? Is that how it works?
I believe the way it works is that it's better to ask forgiveness than permission.
I also believe that the morning after an OHL championship, you get to do whatever the hell you want.
Exactly.
Okay. That's good. It is 10:24.
A jackwagon. Not every heart is cold. Not every promise made to you is gonna turn to gold then fold. Some people mean it when they say they care. Some folks will show up, actually be there. So don't close the door on every soul you meet. Not everyone's a jackwagon on this street.
And today, I want you to know that the person who is not a jackwagon is you. You might have heard Mike McKenzie, the general manager of the Kitchener Rangers, earlier this morning when he said his thumbs were tired from responding to all of the messages that he had received in the overnight hours from that OHL championship win last night. By the time I got onto the bus leaving Barrie last night, it's a good thing we had the 90 minutes or so coming home because I was able to respond to so many. But when people say their phones had blown up, as did mine, I had absolutely nothing to do with the success of this hockey club. But your kind messages were incredible. It was so much fun to respond to them all. And yesterday, while I was on the air, I got this email from Scott, and I'll read it word for word. There once was a host named Farwell who treated our townfolk quite swell. So this 6-pack of beer comes with thanks and good cheer from 2 not a jackwagons as well. And that's from Scott Dunstall and Lou DeVita in Wilmot Township. And lo and behold, I arrived to work this morning to find a 6-pack of Peel Street Brewing beer, some cream ale, a local lager, the Peel Street Classic Pilsner. And on top of that, my buddy Orest from Nickelbrook had left something behind. So my coworkers are not jackwagons because they left all this here for me. So I got 6 from Peel Street, another 16 from Orest at Nickelbrook. I think that means 22 cans of beer. 22 cans of beer on the wall, 22 cans of beer. And somebody might say, if you consume a lot of beer the night before, the last thing you might want the next morning is more beer. I'm not saying I drank a lot of beer last night. I'm not saying I took a cab to work this morning. What I'm saying is I drank a lot of beer last night, and I'm glad I have some to replace it with. This is good to me. This is the way it should be. And finally, one more quick one. The biggest non-jackwagon in this city today is Rangers assistant coach Brad Flynn, who grabbed me when I was down on the ice doing post-game interviews last night and handed me the J. Ross Robertson Cup. Never would I ever have dreamed of touching it myself. And I got to hoist that sucker over my head because Brad Flynn said, you got to have this thing. Take this thing and lift it over your head. And this little old guy got to do it. It's the Farwell Show on 570 News Radio and Rogers TV. It was just a couple of weeks ago that Sustainable Waterloo Region held its annual Evening of Recognition in order that organizations in our community were recognized for their efforts in sustainability. And we are proud to feature some of those award winners, those who were recognized on our show in the days since. Of course, with us for this conversation is Tova Davidson, who's the Executive Director at Sustainable Waterloo Region. Tova, good morning.
Good morning, Mike. So nice to see you.
Nice to see you and have you back on the show as well. Joined this morning alongside Tova is Heather Connell, who is with the City of Guelph, working in environmental services and solid waste services. Heather, good morning to you.
Good morning, and thanks for having us.
It's an absolute pleasure. Patrick Dufresne here as well. Patrick is the co-founder of Wood Rescue. Patrick, good morning to you.
Hi, thanks for having me.
It's an absolute pleasure. Tova, if I could just start with you kind of by way of background in this annual Evening of Recognition, why is it important to recognize these organizations, corporations that do the work that they do in the sustainability space?
Well, who doesn't like to be recognized for the cool things that they do and the efforts that they put in? I think that's a big part of it. I also think it inspires others to understand that there is actually a lot that can be done, that sustainability can be a really smart decision. I also think the Evening of Recognition is an important time for people to reinvigorate their work, find some hope, and connect to each other. It's hard. Any civil society, any social issue that people work in, it can be a lot. It's a marathon, not a sprint. And so just connecting with each other is just so beautiful and so important. And so these examples of award winners even more say, yes, we're going to all work on this together and actually look at the great progress we're making.
Heather, as far as the City of Guelph is concerned, the partner of the year for the work on the organics program. Can you tell us more about it?
Yeah, so, well, we're honored to have been recognized as Partner of the Year. And I just think it's great to help have delivery of programs and resources. So we did have an organics waste collection program specifically designed for businesses where participating businesses can be grouped together under a single SWR administered contract. So that they can get waste collection by a single hauler, which leads to economies of scale. So it's more cost effective for businesses to divert their waste. So In total, we had about 14 businesses that were directly participating and some others that were using shared containers. It diverted more than 19,000 kilograms of food waste from landfill, which resulted in 760 kilograms of soil product generated, 3 kilowatts of electricity was generated, and an overall 20,000 kilograms of carbon dioxide equivalent per year was avoided. So great work for our businesses and great for sustainability in our community.
Well, and the phrase win-win comes to mind here, Heather, because not only is this the win for sustainability that you mentioned, but it's got to be a win for the municipality saving room in that landfill site as well, right?
Absolutely. And it's, I think we're all aware of climate change, and it's also supporting reduction of those greenhouse gas emissions, which I think is one of the most significant contributions.
Patrick, as the co-founder of Wood Rescue, your organization recognized as the champion of the year. What do you do at Wood Rescue?
So Wood Rescue is all about keeping wood waste out of the landfill. And typically in our slogan, we'll say wood waste in quotation marks, because lots of the wood that ends up getting thrown out isn't actually waste, but typically people throw it out just because it's taken up too much space in their yard, in their business lots or whatever. So our job is to figure out how we can take the waste of the week from the region and turn it into whatever the demand for the week is. So this past year, for instance, we've taken about 10,000 pounds of wood waste and turned it into just about everything that the region's asked us for, from trophies, medals, signage, tickets, tokens, trade shows, giveaway, whatever people need. We try and find a way to make it sustainably out of the waste that we were able to collect that week.
I was cyber sleuthing and maybe a little slacking on your website, because when I got to it, I was really, I got in deep. I was so interested in this. Where does this idea come from that wood waste was the area that you wanted to dive into?
I think it's just a very obvious problem. Just driving around the city, you can see the amount of pallets that are just stacked up on the side of the road. And every time you go to the landfill, I kind of always get jealous of what people end up throwing over the ledge. And I know I can't get to it. So there's just so much good material with so many cool stories that we can create pieces with provenance. And I think it's really important to encourage the community to be more mindful of what they do with their waste and rethink, is it actually something that needs to be thrown out into the landfill? Because oftentimes when it ends up in a landfill, it's really difficult to extract it. And you can imagine all the nails and shards of glass. It's really too late almost by the point it ends up at the landfill, or it takes a lot of problem solving. So the more we can kind of avoid sending to the landfill, that really helps the region out quite a bit.
Heather, at the City of Guelph, with your organics program and the amount that you've been able to divert from landfills, what lessons could other municipalities perhaps take from your successes in Guelph with this program?
Yeah, I think just really understanding the role a city can play or municipality can play in supporting kind of like this collective contract where multiple businesses then could join together to get better pricing in order to support their sustainability efforts. How did you become connected with Sustainable Waterloo Region as this partner of the year? Yeah, that's a good question. I think it all started originally through Smart Cities and Our Food Future. And I think it was just connection. It wasn't me directly, but connection with Tova and some of the parties in that project. And then we got introduced, and I guess we've made history since then. Yeah, she has a way, doesn't she, of being very convincing, that Tova Davidson does. Absolutely. Patrick, champion of the year for Wood Rescue. What does that mean to you, that title?
I think it's a strong sense of validation for both Crystal and I to see how receptive the area is. And we were thinking a lot about it, and Waterloo Region specifically, I think, has to be one of the more forward-thinking regions. And it's really a great spot for us to start this business. And I think just the random requests that we've received in the past year, I say random, just knowing the products that we've done in the past, but it's really warming to see that people are wanting to do something about it. And now that we've made ourselves available, people are really coming into us with lots of great applications for rescued wood products. So we're really just happy to see what we're doing is doing good for the region, and people are happy to work with us. And we couldn't be more thankful for that.
If I can interrupt, I'm going to jump in quickly. Just some examples, and I happen to have them sitting on my desk. Wood Rescue gave SWR team members a gift at Christmas this year, and they made us name tags out of rescued wood. And my business card is made out of rescued wood, all provided by Wood Rescue. Interesting things, stuff you wouldn't think of. Very cool.
I never thought of it for a second until I was on Patrick's website at woodrescue.ca. And then all of a sudden, it's one of those things where the light bulb went off for me, right? Because yes, there's wood waste and pallets, especially when you mentioned those, Patrick. It really hit close to home. Tova, when you, going back to the partnership with the City of Guelph as an example, and I know it's not the only one, but how does Sustainable Waterloo Region, SWR, branch out and form these partnerships in our community and beyond?
Well, I'll make a little bit of a self-deprecating joke. When I was in the marketing world, I had a client call me the nicest nag ever. So maybe a little bit of that. I think SWR's ethos is to be a support and an advocate and to be there and find the gaps and see if we can find partnerships and offer to help. And so we've been talking to the Sustainability Office at the City of Guelph for some time. And actually another part of that Partner of the Year was the creation and execution of a stock take for the industrial, commercial, and institutional sector in the City of Guelph to hear what the barriers are for sustainability in their own operations. So we also did that work with the city. So there's sort of multiple ways that we work together. But really it comes about because pre-pandemic, we had some people come to SWR and say, we don't have an organization like this in Guelph. Will you help in this community too? And the answer, of course, is a big yes. And that was one of the first expansions that SWR did. And now why we call ourselves SWR, because we are, of course, Waterloo Region as our founding location, but also Guelph and Wellington and Perth and Oxford and Grey and Bruce and all kinds of other communities, Dufferin. So helping wherever we can. And that's why we are so excited about this partnership with Guelph, because it's a newer area, but they dove in deep and really are committed to doing some pretty cool, innovative stuff.
Just thinking on Patrick and Crystal at Wood Rescue, as I said, for me, it was like this light bulb going off. Of course, this is another item that can be rescued from landfills, et cetera. Do you ever find yourself still, Tova, being surprised at the innovation you're seeing in this space?
Yeah, there is no end to what we can do. My eldest son said to me, everything we need already exists. And so the work that Wood Rescue does really is just reinforcing that idea that a lot of the people in his generation are already seeing. And there is so much we can do. And the answer for me towards a sustainable future is not a single path and that everyone follows the same. It's what can you do? What works for you? And in each case, it's different. So, these two examples of award winners are great examples. One is food waste, food rescue, feeding people through this program as well. It's not just keeping it at a landfill. It's also feeding people from the BIA collection in the City of Guelph. It's thinking about what wood is going to waste. It's finding the thing that you can do and innovating on it. And this region of the country is a really innovative and committed region to doing better. And so I think these are great examples of that.
I couldn't agree more. Heather Connell, City of Guelph, Partner of the Year at the Evening of Recognition. Congratulations and thank you for being with us this morning.
Yeah, thank you very much for having us.
Patrick Dufresne, co-founder, along with Crystal of Wood Rescue, the Champion of the Year. Congratulations to you, Patrick, and thanks for being here as well.
Yeah, thanks again for having us.
Tova, thanks for giving us these stories to share, and I look forward to our next conversation.
Me too. Thanks for being such a great champion and support, Mike. You're the best.
Tova Davidson, keep it up. I like that stuff. You can nag anytime if that's the flattery we're going to get. I appreciate it. Tova Davidson, Executive Director, SWR, all with us this morning on the Mike Farwell Show. 570 News Radio and Rogers TV. On this show, we like to keep you up on the issues of the day, allow you to weigh in on them. We want you to be informed. We also want you to be entertained and know what is going on in your backyard. And to that end, I am so grateful for the too numerous to mention spies, if you will, that I have all around this community, including a couple of beauties in Woolwich Township who made me aware of this next event. It's got fun written all over it, and we're pleased to be joined on the show by Tim Shuh, the co-owner of Shuh Orchards, to talk about it. Tim, good morning.
Good morning, Mike. How are you?
Hey, I'm doing really well, thank you. How are you?
Doing great.
Glad to hear that. I want to talk to you about Bloomfest because this is something a little bit new and it's the right time of year for it. Tell me more about Bloomfest.
Yes, absolutely. So Bloomfest is when our apple trees at our orchard located in Elmira are just in this spectacular bloom. The flowers come out on the trees, and it's just a great time for families, full of fun activities, walks through the blossoms in the trees, wagon rides. We've got a lot of new activities, and so it's something a little bit different at an apple orchard, given that we're at kind of the opposite time for apple picking during the fall, but the orchard is just spectacular during flower.
And what does it mean to you, Tim, to be able to offer an opportunity like this to the community?
Well, we just love seeing people come to the farm for families who maybe haven't been on a farm at all before, or just to see the behind the scenes of how we grow apples, why we do what we do. You know, we started this farm as just a farm, and then last year we said we want the public on our property. We want to invite them in to see what we do here, how we grow apples. And so during the spring, the start of the season is a really important time for us. It's actually a really stressful time for farmers with this cold weather we've been having. We could lose a lot of our crop right now, but the blooms are going to come out this weekend and the next 2 weekends, actually. And so it's very special that we get to share that with our community.
I have been saying for as long as I can remember that one of my favorite parts about living here in the region of Waterloo is that you can be downtown 1 minute and 10 to 15 minutes later you can be out in our rural areas, including out into Elmira and the surrounding farms, etc. And only more recently have I gotten to know several of the farmers in this community. I've got so much respect for the work that you do and what you provide through that work to our community. What's life like in the orchard these days, Tim, on the land these days? How is farming going?
Yeah, great question. So like I said, it's a stressful time for farmers, specifically apple orchard farmers, because of this cold weather. So earlier this week, we got down to negative temperatures. I think it was minus 3.9 or so, and so we can actually lose a lot of our apple crop to the frost. So we're going through some sleepless nights and waking up in the morning, hoping that our buds have made it through the night. And so we take precautions to make sure that we protect those buds. But as a result, for our spring events now, it's kind of a silver lining for the farm and for our family. We actually have an extended time of flowers on the trees. So that's why I mentioned we'll actually be adding on another weekend to our Bloomfest. The last weekend of May, we'll have flowers out still for that weekend. So it's a good news, bad news story. Yes, we're stressed about our crop and the start of the season, but it means an extra weekend of bloom season for the public, which is a feel-good story for us that we're able to add that to the community events list.
So the weekend coming up is a long weekend. We'll have the opportunity to attend Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, and then the next 2 weekends as well, taking us right through Sunday, May the 31st. How can we get involved and take advantage of Bloomfest, Tim?
Yes, absolutely. Thanks, Mike. So tickets can be purchased online on our website. It's www.shuhorchards.com. They're $10 a person, and kids are free if they're under 2. You can also follow us on our social media. We stay very active on Instagram with all of our updates, and you can learn about the orchard too and how we do things. So it's at Shuh Orchards on Instagram and on Facebook. And then if you're just driving by and feel like you want to stop in, tickets can also be purchased right at the farm in person. And we've got lots of new activities this year. We've launched our own hard cider, Shuh Orchards hard cider, which we're really excited about. A bunch of new kids activities, Tire Mountain, Bubble Barn, a big oat pit, petting zoo with alpacas, and we've even got lemurs this year.
I love it. Tim, keep up the good work. Thanks for sharing it with the community. We look forward to attending.
Thank you so much, Mike. Appreciate it. Hope to see you out at the orchard.
Look forward to it. Enjoy your day. Bye-bye.
You too. Bye now.
Tim Shuh is the co-owner at Shuh Orchards. That's Shuh, S-H-U-H. You knew that, though, right? ShuhOrchards.com. Bloomfest runs again this weekend and right through every weekend until the end of the month. Check out ShuhOrchards.com. This is the Mike Farwell Show on 570 News Radio and Rogers TV.
The Whiz Kids had won it, Bobby Thompson had done it, and Yogi read the comics all the while. Rock and roll was being born, marijuana we would scorn. So down on the corner the national pastime went on trial. We're talking baseball, Klazuski, Campanella, talking baseball. The Man and Bobby Fella, the Scooter, the Barber and the Nuke. They knew them all from Boston to Dubuque, especially Willie, Mickey and the Duke.
Wednesday morning brings us that song and the one and only Blue Jay Hunter. Ian Hunter is right here in our halls at 570 News Radio, and he joins us Wednesday mornings at 11 for these chats about the Blue Jays. First of all, good morning. Nice to see you.
Good morning to you.
I have to be honest, I've been a little bit distracted with the game played on the ice. So if I just start generally with what the heck's wrong with our Blue Jays, is that enough? Like, why can't we beat Tampa? Where do you want me to go here?
Yeah, that basically you carry over what happened at Tropicana Field, and somehow it infiltrated its way into Rogers Center. So yes, if you were watching the Rangers game last night and you missed the Jays game, pretty much more of the same. But fortunately, at least the Blue Jays staged a late game comeback. You know, they tied the game at 5-5, even though it looked like they were probably might get one hit at some point. But again, I think it's kind of the same story. We've been beating the drum all season long, was just the lack of offense, or, you know, not at the right time. They lost it in extra innings, pushed across an extra run, but just weren't able to battle these Tampa Bay Rays. I mean, I don't know about you, Mike, but like early in the season, I kind of wrote them off. And I think a lot of people assumed, it's just the Rays. They don't have a ton of sexy star power names on their roster. And you look at the standings today, they have the best record in the American League. I don't know how, voodoo magic or something, whatever it is. But we're just seeing on paper, the Tampa Bay Rays are just, echelons above where the Blue Jays are right now.
I was texting with a buddy last night who was watching or listening to the Rangers while watching the Jays. So I said, the internet in Barrie is really bad. So I'm like, when we give our out-of-town scores or our scoring updates, let me know the score. It was 4-0 for the Rays in the bottom of the sixth at that point. So he and I went back and forth just a little bit about this team. And you talk about Tampa and this, cast of nobodies, best record in the American League. I mean, is that the lightning in the bottle that the Blue Jays caught last year?
Yeah, I think the Rays' MO has always been pitching. They're always built on pitching, whether it's starting pitching or bullpen. Last year, they subtracted two guys from their starting rotation, Taj Bradley and Shane Baz, and they still seem to keep going. Like they currently, I think they have the second best starting rotation by ERA. And when it comes to like household names, I guess you would say like Jonathan Aranda, Junior Caminero, and Yandy Diaz are like their three big hitters, but they don't have a George Springer. They don't have a Vlad. They don't have kind of that cachet. But also what we saw last night is speed. They're traditionally a really speedy team. They steal a lot of bases. They take extra bases, ultra aggressive on the base paths. And I think that kind of pushes them ahead of the Blue Jays because the Jays traditionally, they're not a really aggressive team on the base paths, and it feels like they still are pushing, right? Like you see Vladdy at bats and he just does not have the timing down. Players like Dalton Varsho are just, not having good reads on baseballs, or they're making bad decisions on the base pass. I think they're pushing, right? Like they're trying too hard. And I think in baseball, kind of like in golf, the harder you hold the bat or try to swing, the worse it gets. And I think that's it's a very simplistic nature of what's going on with the Jays right now, but I think that kind of encapsulates the struggles that they're experiencing.
Addison Barger seems like he just came back, because I think he did.
Yep.
I watch him pick up an incredible outfield assist on the weekend in the series versus the Angels, and now Addison Barger is back on the DL.
Yeah, it's really unfortunate. I mean, heck of a throw from him. I think it was 100+ miles an hour from the outfield, and then it seems like he blew out his shoulder. And I think a lot of Jays fans were kind of holding their breath there, because there was a potential there for that injury to be very serious. It sounds like it's going to be minor, and he should be back in 10 days. But isn't that the MO of the Jays this year, right? They get a player back, and the next day he's on the IL. George Springer returns from fracturing his toe, and 3 days later a ball hits him on the same spot. It's just, when it rains it pours with this team. And I know injuries have rattled this club, but their big players like Vladimir Guerrero Jr., for example, are just not stepping up. Like, somebody has to pick up the slack here. And heaven praise Kaz Okamoto, because he is doing his job. He's put this team on his back, which I never expected. But their franchise guys are just not coming up in big moments for them right now.
Are we going to see Jose Barrios back in this rotation at any point?
So he's been dealing with a stress fracture in his elbow, which to me seems like a ticking time bomb, right? That feels like surgery waiting to happen. Apparently he's seeing a specialist this week, so he may not even get back up off the ground. And with the Blue Jays designating Eric Lauer for assignment a few days ago, their fifth starter spot has suddenly opened up right now. So it's going to be a mix and match. Like you or I might get called up to be the fifth starter for the Blue Jays. I have no idea. They might run a bullpen day right now. It's just their starting rotation. It seems like it's in shambles. Like, once, you've got Dylan Cease, Kevin Gausman, Trey Savage at the top, which is, pretty top heavy. But after that, it drops off a cliff, and it feels like we're kind of back where we were last year, where they're just throwing spaghetti against the wall and trying to see what sticks.
Well, let's talk a little bit, though, because it can't always be glass half empty. And I recognize the frustration. I'm hearing it from fellow Blue Jays fans, right? We were right there last year, and maybe that was the window or the magic elixir, whatever it happened to be. But you talk about top heavy. I mean, Gausman, Cease, and Yasavage, now that he's back in the rotation, they are, like, when they go out there, you feel like you have a chance to win for sure.
Yeah, I mean, the other night, like, Kevin Gausman really had, kudos to him, first of all. He picked up his 2000s career strikeout, but he had an uncharacteristically, I don't want to say bad, but he was kind of off his game that start. And then you've got Dylan Cease starting tonight for the Jays. Those two guys, I would say, probably one of the top two. They're among the top 10 pitchers in the American League this season, I would say. And what's interesting with Cease is that the strikeouts are always going to be there, but because he tends to give up a ton of walks, his pitch counts always get high in like the fourth or fifth inning. He hasn't pitched deep into games. His last start, I believe he went seven innings, put up a quality start with no walks, which was really promising. The game before that also went deep, and you have Trey Savage returning. It still feels like he's not quite 100%, but again, I would much rather have a Trey Savage at 75% than whatever the alternative is, like Patrick Corbin or whoever else is going to be starting for the Blue Jays. So the starting pitching at the top end, yeah, it feels pretty solid, but I think at the back end is where they really need help, and they've already dug into the depth starters and signing guys like Corbin. They're probably going to have to pluck somebody up from AAA to make this start. But I mean, that's just the plight of a starting rotation, right? There's going to be injuries every year, but it just feels like it's all happened for the Jays here in the early first few months of the season.
Have we, the royal we, as Blue Jays fans, settled on a closer? Is Louis Varland our guy now, or?
Yeah, I tend to think so. It's funny because when they made the switch a few weeks ago, I think John Schneider said something to the effect of closer by committee. Well, every save situation has been Louis Varland's. Okay, so I think he's done a tremendous job. And even last night when he ran into trouble, he had a few runners on with the go-ahead run in the ninth, still managed to come up. I didn't feel like at any point the game was really in jeopardy. It's just he's been locked down, and it's felt a little more comfortable having him in save situations than a Jeff Hoffman. And Hoffman, to his credit, has kind of excelled in this role where he's not pitching in his high leverage anymore either. So I think, for the rest of the season, it's Louis Varland as closer, which at the beginning of the year, I never would have thought. But I think when you have a hot hand, you got to go with it, right?
Ian Hunter is the one and only Blue Jay Hunter. He joins us Wednesday mornings at 11 here on the show to talk Blue Jays baseball. And if you want to talk Blue Jays baseball with the one and only Blue Jay Hunter, you can do that as well. As we continue on the Mike Farwell Show this morning, this is 570 News Radio and Rogers TV. Every Wednesday morning, just after the 11 a.m. news, we talk baseball, specifically Blue Jays baseball. And to help us through these conversations, it's Blue Jay Hunter. Who else would you talk Blue Jays baseball with? Ian Hunter joins us in studio, and our phone lines always remain open to you at 519-570-2545, star 570 and 1-800-570-5715. I was saying earlier, Ian, the buddy I was texting with a little bit last night during the hockey game, and he was saying, and I said, like, what's wrong with this team? Because they were losing 4-0 to Tampa. And he said, I was trying to stay optimistic. You know, their record at the end of April was about the same as it was last year. So, you know, but he said he's starting to lose faith. And your X account points out this very thing. The Blue Jays were 4-4 on April the 4th. And 14-19 since then, which is tied for fourth worst in Major League Baseball over that span.
Yeah, it's crazy. They had that whirlwind opening weekend against the Athletics. Looked like they were going to kind of pick up where they left off in the World Series. And yeah, since then they are, well, now 14-20. Since that time, one of the worst records in Major League Baseball. It just feels like it's always this arduous climb to just reach 500. They seem to keep getting so close. You know, they'll win 2 out of 3 in a series and then all of a sudden run into a team like the Tampa Bay Rays and then suddenly fall back. So now there's several games under 500. I guess their saving grace is, even though they're 6 games under right now, they're somehow only 2.5 games out of a playoff spot. It seems like nobody in the American League wants to win games aside from the Athletics, the Yankees, and the Rays. So, I mean, they're like a 6-game winning streak away from getting back in this thing. And they're fortunate that they do have time, right? We're not even midway through May and they're still on the periphery. But a lot of these signs are they're irking me a little bit. I don't like these trends that we're seeing, especially on the offensive side.
I was going to ask about that in a different way, but the run differential, I don't know how you feel about that as a statistic, but it was one that jumped out to me because the Blue Jays is not good. And is that something that would concern you as well?
A tad. I want to say last year they were kind of in a very similar situation up until, I want to say, the All-Star break. They were either had a negative differential or were close to 0, which, if you ask a lot of people, they would say, oh, that's indicative of a team who probably should have a losing record and maybe they're getting a little lucky. So I think the Jays have been a tad unlucky, but I think it still all comes back to this offense. Like, I think the starting pitching, for the most part, it could be better. They have, as we said, they've been top heavy with Gausman, Cease, and Yasavage. and the bullpen has kind of held its own. It was a tire fire for a few weeks, but I think it's stabilized more or not. To me, I think the concern night in and night out for this team is still that starting lineup.
Okay. So this offense, I'm really curious about it because I'm no expert, but there was a lot of talk last season about the new approach at the plate, for which we could thank the new hitting coach, who I think came from Minnesota.
Correct.
Was it right? And Atkins and Shapiro wanted to scoop him up right away because he was such a hot commodity. Boom. And the early returns were fantastic. So what has changed then?
I don't think anything has changed, really. Like, I would say whatever David Popkins, the hitting coach, was preaching last year, he's probably saying more of the same this year. I think one of the things is there's a bit of a change in personnel, right? Like, the Blue Jays haven't had Alejandro Kirk, who tends to be a really good hitter. Bo Bichette is gone from the lineup as well. And a few others on the periphery, like Nathan Lucas has also been on the injured list, who is a guy who had some really strong results early in the season last year. So I wish I knew what the magic formula is. I think that's what the Blue Jays are trying to strive and figure out right now. I think, to me, the key is Vlad. Like, if Vlad, I don't think they need 2025 playoff version of him, but if they could get second half last year version of Vlad, I think they would be happy with that, because he's not hitting for power right now. I think he's like 12 or 13 games now without an extra base hit. He has 3 RBIs. He just has all of a sudden turned into a singles hitter, and he's going through one of the worst stretches of his career right now. So, I mean, that's not going to continue forever, but it's just there's a lot of red flags with this starting lineup, and I'm just kind of hoping this doesn't continue much longer.
Does getting some pieces back into that lineup, Alejandro Kirk, Barger consistently, etc., does that change the complexion of things?
Yeah, I think so. I think when Barger returned for, the 2 hours that he was a Blue Jay, that injects some power back into the lineup, a left-handed power bat. But I think in the meantime, you can't just pray and hope that your guys are going to get it done. I think you either have to bring some guys up from AAA or AA, or maybe there's a potential to make some trades here. The issue is, I don't know which areas on the diamond are you going to improve. Probably the outfield. Like, maybe you could improve upon like a Jesus Sanchez in the outfield. But other than that, like, a lot of these guys, like Ernie Clement, Andres Jimenez, Okamoto, Vlad, they're all fixtures in the lineup. And Valenzuela has been pretty good behind the plate, covering for Kirk too. So, I feel like the longer this goes on, maybe their offensive woes are fixed with a trade. So that would be something to keep an eye on. We typically don't see a lot of early season trades in Major League Baseball, but it has been done before.
Just before we let you go today, Ian, it is with regret that I inform Blue Jays fans that we will no longer be able to have these weekly conversations. We've been doing it for a long time here on the show. And I guess we're putting you on the long-term IL or some such thing.
I guess so.
I'm going to miss you, man. Thanks for, the perspective you bring is invaluable, and it's really going to suck, frankly, not to have it.
Yeah, I appreciate that. It's been one of my highlights of my week is chatting with you and getting to field calls from listeners talking about the Jays. So it's been tons of fun. And if you ever want to catch me, I'm over on X or Twitter, whatever they call it these days. So I'll be over there.
I wanted to ask about that. So on X at Blue Jay Hunter.
Yes, sir.
And you write a bunch of stuff online.
Yep.
We can find, right?
Yeah, you'll find me. I'm at Blue Jays Nation and various places. So if you want to keep up with me there, I'll still be giving you stats and opinions about the Blue Jays, no matter what's going on, whether it's good or bad.
All right, that Blue Jays Nation link you'll find from Ian's X account. Again, Blue Jay Hunter. Even though we won't get to have these weekly conversations, you'll find him there and all of that great Blue Jays analysis that Ian provides. Thanks a ton, buddy. And I know we'll still talk, and I'll be following along on X myself for sure.
Thank you, sir. Go Jays and go Rangers.
Go Jays and go Rangers. Ian Hunter is the Blue Jay Hunter. Joins us on the show this morning. It's the Mike Farwell Show, 570 News Radio and Rogers TV. if I've said it once, I've said it at least a dozen times. In-studio guests are my favorite guests. And these people, getting these people in studio is like such a thrill for me because long time, first time over here. Okay, it's not the first time you've been in, but a long time fan of these two ladies. Their social media is unreal. Their skills in the kitchen are unreal. We have had so much fun taking their classes over the years, my beloved and I. And now they've got an extension of what they do in the kitchen. It is called Chef Over Your Shoulder. And the chefs are Kirsty Herbstreit of Culinary Studio. Good morning.
Hello. Thank you for that introduction. Can we get that every day?
Yes, you
of our
can.
lives?
If you need somebody to introduce your Chef Over Your Shoulder podcast, I mean, this is how we feel about you in the Farwell household. 100%. Jody O'Malley, the other co-founder of Culinary Studio. Hello, Jody.
Hey, Mike. How are you?
So good. I am so good, thank you. And Amy Schluter, who is the co-conspirator to get these two into the podcasting world?
I am. I'm a co-host on the podcast and I produce the podcast. And so I was, the piece that kind of helped them get it off the ground because they always have such great ideas. And it was just sitting there waiting to be a podcast.
So, Kirsty, it's her fault. Is that what we're getting at here?
You know what? She is a real big part of it because the whole idea behind the podcast, like Jody and I can talk about food all the time, right? Blah, blah, blah. But getting Amy on, who doesn't necessarily, and I'm going to say this, we say it so kindly, she doesn't know as much about food as we do. And so every week we're giving her homework. Every week she's coming back with like either horror stories or success stories of her time in the kitchen. And then it's usually Jody that's like going to tell us this is why this is happening. So it's been fantastic.
So, Jody, take me through this experience, this extension of what you and Kirsty have been doing for years. Your classes have always been a blast when we would go to them in person. Then you start offering all of these virtual classes, and they're just so much fun because the two of you make it that way. But now this brand new space that you're into. What's it like?
You don't know that you were part of the founding seed of the Chef Over Your Shoulder.
Yeah, I
way
forgot
back
too.
when we did a live Instagram with you or your beloved, both of you maybe, and we were live instant. We did Chef Over Your Shoulder. You opened your kitchen to us.
Oh yes.
We looked into your kitchen and we helped you make a dinner.
Right.
And so that's where the Chef Over Your Shoulder came from. And then we wanted to be relatable to the everyday cook. Amy is an everyday cook, right? She burnt maple syrup to the point where I was like, oh my God, I don't even know how you did it, right? She is a great mom. She cooks for the kids. She tries to teach them, sorry, Amy, but she does all of these fantastic things. And then we're like, okay, we can help you make it a little bit better. Right? She's had some stories along the way. We know why she doesn't like it, and we want her to love it. And she's had some great successes since we've had the podcast. And so, so it's a podcast. It's us talking, us chatting about whatever. We could talk about food. I could talk about potatoes for hours. Just potatoes.
Oh, you make me miss my friend Don Cameron from PEI and the PEI. Because you and Don would then be fast friends, Jody. Let me tell you. Sorry, Amy. Burned maple syrup? I didn't know. Like, how? How?
I have lots of special skills in the kitchen. They often ask me how when anything comes up. The maple syrup was it was really, really cold, as it was this winter, and the kids wanted to try making maple syrup in the snow because it had just snowed, and I put it in the microwave because I thought that's what you should do, and I put it in the microwave for 7 minutes, which apparently you should never do. And yes, that's the photo. And your
Jody's
reaction.
sharing me oh my gosh, show me that photo.
Your reaction is exactly their reaction. If you listen to that episode, I saved it and didn't tell them, and it was great. So they poured it out in the freezing cold, and it was so burnt that it crystallized like a burnt marshmallow on a fire. And now it's kind of an art installation in my kitchen.
That's what it looks like. It just bubbled over and charred, and
because I had burnt it so badly.
Of course,
I burned soup to the bottom of the pan. I'd never made chicken noodle soup or a turkey because I found it very intimidating for a variety of reasons. And they really just make all of my questions and, my trepidations, they just ease them. And then I go back and try it, and often it works out quite well.
So, Kirsty, clearly you had a little bit of an idea of what you're getting into here, but the both of you know, having been the chef over our shoulders, my beloved is a queen of the kitchen. Not so much this guy. I have great intentions, not very much in the way of skill, but this is kind of then for me. Yes?
It is for you, but it is for everyone. Jody and I have always had this philosophy. There's always something to learn. We're always learning, right? We're learning. We learned something from Amy, actually. Can't remember what it was, but I remember going, oh, I didn't know that. Maybe it was your meatloaf spice or something like that. But we're always so it is for everyone. But I would say even if you don't cook, what we've had a lot of fun with, which I don't think we planned on, was the stories. The story, we were talking about the T&Ho Inn the other day.
Oh,
we were talking about, Jody's chicken noodle soup versus mine and those memories of eating it as a kid. So all of food is memory. And so all of these things are coming up as we talk about scallops, right? That's been a really cool spin-off of the whole thing.
Jody, you mentioned earlier, we could just talk about potatoes for the entire show. Where does this passion for food come from?
From Kirsty, I think we've always had it. We've been interviewed before, and people are like, where does it come from? And I'm like, I used to ask my mom what she was making for dinner, and it would determine whether I skipped home from school or just slowly walked, because I was like, we're having I didn't like meat pies, Swanson meat pies. No offense, Swanson, but like a homemade meat pie for sure. But in my household, my parents were like 80s dinner parties. You remember those 80s dinner parties? There was at the end of the night, there was Drambuie and all those shots on the table. I've always just loved cooking, loved it, and wanted to know why things work the way they do. And Kirsty, if I can speak for her, like every holiday, everything revolves around food in her house. Like her Omi, like her dad, I never met him, but he used to have a sweatband that he'd wear when he was eating a hot bowl of soup, right? Like this is just from her storytelling that I can picture it in my mind. And it's just, our lives have always revolved around food. And this just allows us to tell those stories.
Kirsty, how did this partnership form? Because the two of you complement one another so well.
Jody and I, we knew each other kind of, but I think when we got together as chefs, there wasn't a lot of female chefs in this region. It wasn't as common, so it was like, oh, you're a chef, I'm a chef. And somehow we just got together and we both agreed on, we always say perfectly cooked calamari was a difficult thing to do. Let's do this together. It was really organic, really natural. And let me tell you, Mike, we are extremely lucky. We just celebrated 15 years in business together. So that's as business partners. So we've now been friends for over 15 years. And that's enough. That's something to be celebrated. And now this extension of our business, as you said, Amy, right? Just extension of our brand is really, as the podcast has been really fantastic. Yeah.
Amy, what about you and your passion for food? Because as Jody said earlier, maybe not perfect, and that's okay, but, the kids want maple syrup in the snow, then mom's going to, maple syrup in the snow is going to be the thing. Where does that come from for you?
Well, I like to eat, so that's a good starting point, I think.
Yep.
I think it's just whatever they're curious about, I like to follow. So, and sometimes that's food. Sometimes they want to make things, and I'm like, I don't know how to do that. But then I look it up, or now I call these guys, so it's perfect. That's my resource. But it's been great to just explore all the stories, because often we share stories or memories, and the stories and laughter are my favorite part about this. And bringing the fails to the podcast, it makes it less, this is about chefs. It is about everybody. And there's always, if you can't make a class, you can listen to the podcast, and there's always a recipe that's on the website attached to the podcast, and you can go check that out too. So there's lots of ways now to access the Culinary Studio, which is what I really like about it.
What's it like producing Chef Over Your Shoulder, the podcast?
It is so much fun. It's fun to record, but I really do love telling stories, and I love putting the story together. So once we record, as you well know, there's lots of work behind the scenes. So we do that, and we package it up so that it's fun to listen to. We always say the length of the podcast is the length it takes to make dinner, so it all kind of marries up together. It's about 30, 35 minutes. As I said, there's lots of resources available in there as well. So it's fantastic, and it's so much fun, and the laughter is always my favorite.
Jody, how have you enjoyed exploring this new medium? I mean, there can be a lot of freedom in podcasting, unlike here in a traditional broadcast, right? Oh, get the commercial here, get the traffic report there, whatever. But how do you enjoy this medium?
The thing that I enjoy most is the stories behind it, right? Like when we're teaching classes, it's about the technique. It's about getting the results, right? Because we're showing you in a pan and how it works, what the temperature of the pan is. But with this podcast, we are talking about the other parts of food and that bring you together. And one of the things you asked Kirsty, our relationship and our partnership is 100% respect. And when we brought Amy into this podcast, again, 100% respect. She doesn't cook. I can't. I'm not emphasizing it in a negative way, but you saw the maple syrup. But we approach it with like love and respect. There's never judgment that she's never made soup before. That she has like. What is it? Meatloaf spice?
Yeah. The first episode, which is again not always about cooking, was what's in your pantry. And so I opened my pantry to them, and there was a lot of you've packaged meatloaf spice, and you have how old is that? And a lot of that. And so again, it's everybody can relate to that, because I know that there's lots of people out there that struggle to make a turkey possibly or chicken noodle soup. And this is to say, yes, you can do it. And also it doesn't have to be perfect. Just give it your best try. I've done that. The kids like it, and everybody seems to be happy, even though I've never done it before. So
and you let us look in her pantry. No one's going to let us into their pantry. Yeah. She opened those and she was like, tell me what you think. And we're like, oh my God. It's like, 6 basils. With love. Yeah.
Kirsty, it occurs to me, so you and Jody, partners, Culinary Studio, 15 years, chefs prior to. It's not like you just became chefs 15 years ago. And I'm thinking about this in the context of what I do. And during this playoff run with the Kitchener Rangers, for example, there's been a lot of work from the road. There was a time, and if I go back to the beginning of my time in this business, I never would have believed that I could do this radio show from a hotel room with this laptop that's sitting in front of me and a microphone. That's all, and an internet connection. Look at you. Think of where you're at now, right? Do you ever stop yourself and think, does it blow your mind that from being a chef in a kitchen, you are now on all of these platforms, you're Instagramming live, you're teaching culinary classes over online, and now into the podcast world? Like, as a chef, what does that make you think about?
It is a little bit mind-blowing, and I think about a year or more ago, Jody and I said, we need a podcast because we just couldn't shut up about food. and now it's happening. And sometimes I'm like, wow, it is actually happening. And Jody and I have often taken the stance of business evolution, right? So sure, the pandemic got us online, but we've stopped. We started calling it. What were we calling it? It wasn't a something, and now we're just saying,
wasn't a pivot.
It wasn't a pivot.
We
yes,
evolved.
It was an evolution or an evolvement of just us as chefs. The kitchen has an expiry date, and if anyone's listening, they know that out there, right? It's really hard, physical, demanding work, and we couldn't do it. And so we're really feeling lucky that we have other things to offer besides slinging pans in a hot kitchen. Although I love that, and I respect to restaurant people. There's only so long I could do it.
Okay, Amy, the important thing: where are we going to find Chef Over Your Shoulder, the podcast?
Chef Over Your Shoulder, the podcast, is available wherever you get your podcasts.
Love that.
So Spotify and Apple, of course, but all of the other places as well, YouTube Music and Amazon and things like that. We're 13 episodes in. Our latest episode is about fish because we did fish and we talked too long, so then we didn't get to seafood. So the next episode was seafood. So we're doing fish and seafood right now. And it's about every 2 weeks. But we're busy people, so sometimes it's every 3 weeks.
That's allowed. Chef Over Your Shoulder. The Chefs Over Your Shoulder. Kirsty Herbstreit and Jody O'Malley of the Culinary Studio, Amy Schluter, their partner in podcasting. I love seeing you all. Please, let's do this more. And great work on the podcast. I look forward to the next adventure. Thanks for being here.
Thank you so much.
This is a Mike Farwell Show. 570 News Radio and Rogers TV. Well, we have arrived at that moment in our show. That moment being the one where the phone lines open real wide and allow you the opportunity to have your say on the issues of the day, or just make the issue that you want to be the issue of the day. And you just call us and point us in the right direction. We can have a conversation about it. We started our show this morning with a whole lot of talk about the Kitchener Rangers. And look, I recognize a couple of things when it comes to my bias in this regard. I grew up in this town, as you know. I have fond memories of being taken to the games by my father as a kid, going to the Kitchener Memorial Auditorium. It felt like, because I grew up in what we called the North Ward. I shouldn't say. My early years were in what we call the North Ward, which is Mount Hope Breithaupt neighborhood. And we'd have to drive to the games, and it felt like we were driving forever. We might as well have driven to Toronto to Maple Leaf Gardens. That's what it felt like. I guess the anticipation of getting across town to the Kitchener Memorial Auditorium for the games and then walking into that arena. We would pop popcorn before leaving home and put it in a brown paper bag. You got to think of the times that we were living in, right? Where you could take your own food. No, we didn't try to hide it under a jacket. And I'll never forget, like that brown paper bag with the hot popcorn inside. It's not like it was buttered, but the bag would, from the heat, I guess, sweat, whatever. And still, the popcorn may be a little soggy by the time we ate it when we got to the rink. But that was Kitchener Rangers hockey for me. And I mean, how lucky were we, if you are of my vintage, the early 1980s, 1981 OHL Championship, 1982 OHL Championship. So that means going to the Memorial Cup, winning it in 82. 1984, we hosted the Memorial Cup here in Kitchener. Didn't win the OHL Championship that year. And then the late 80s and that run versus Oshawa. And anyway, my most formative years, to say I was hooked would be an understatement. And then, of course, growing up as a fan of radio and listening to Don Cameron call games, and then ending up in the broadcast booth with Don Cameron, an experience I will cherish for the rest of my days. And then there we were last night in the city of Barrie as the Kitchener Rangers swept the OHL Championship Series, became OHL champions again for the first time in 18 years. Just an incredible moment for that hockey team, yes, but for this city. I'm so happy for this city. I'm so happy for everybody that works so hard over there at the Kitchener Memorial Auditorium. We go there and enjoy the games, and this team gave us the ultimate result with that win last night. So, look, here's the straight goods, okay? I got home like 8 hours ago. I am not joking with you. Home. I usually get up at around 5:20 in the morning to be in my car and on the way to work by 6. So I listen to the 6 o'clock news. I count that as the beginning of my day. And then I come into work. This morning, I will not tell a lie. I slept in until 6. So I got about 2.5 hours of sleep. And as this show goes on, boy, oh boy, I'm starting, like the gas tank is getting empty here, you know? And there may have been some adult beverages enjoyed even after I got home. And listen, they don't come around championships every year. So I'm going to encourage you to help me through the final hour, okay? We can talk Rangers, obviously. We talk whatever else you want to talk about. I'm here for the conversation. Just don't yell too loud, okay? The Mike Farwell Show. Open lines, talk back coming up on 570 News Radio and Rogers TV.
Take out the papers and the trash, or you don't get no spending cash. If you don't scrub that kitchen floor, you ain't gonna rock and roll no more. Yakety yak.
Don't talk back.
Just finish cleaning up your room. Let's see that dust fly with that broom. Get all that garbage out of sight, or you don't go out Friday night.
Don't talk back.
Oh, I didn't go out Friday night. I went out whatever the hell last night was. That's when I went out. And we are playing guilty on the show today. Talkback Hour underway. You make the call. Start the conversation. Just help a brother out a little bit today. 519-570-2545, star 570 and 1-800-570-5715. Ron is going to go first on Talkback today. Good afternoon, Ron.
Good afternoon, Mike. Hey, Mike, congratulations to the Kitchener Rangers. My wife and I were in the auditorium back in 2008 when they did Belleville Inn, and we've been season's ticket holders for probably 25 plus years. It was nice to see the win last night. I heard your show a little bit this morning. I didn't catch all of it, but I thought we'd be remiss if we didn't say thanks to our nemesis, the London Knights, for developing a player named Sam O'Reilly, who was the MVP for the team. You know, it's a great organization, Kitchener Rangers, and they know how to pick the right players. So I just think we need to give a little thank you to the London Knights as well.
You know what, Ron? That's very well said, and thanks for the call today. Good to hear from you.
All righty. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. I couldn't agree more, and I don't want Jared Woolley to get overlooked in this either. Both came over from the London Knights. Both have now won 3 straight OHL championships. But there's no question. They won 2 with London and now this one with Kitchener. There's no question that Sam O'Reilly has emerged as an incredible story and a surefire, no doubt, I promise you, future NHLer, and that future may be next season for Sam O'Reilly. But what a trade that was by Rangers general manager Mike McKenzie, who was on the show earlier today, and what additions they made to this Kitchener Rangers roster that got us back. It was exactly 18 years ago to the day yesterday that the Rangers last won an OHL championship, and they did it again. They didn't do it on home ice like they did over Belleville back in 2008, and like Ron, I was in the building for that one too. On the road last night in Barrie, Kitchener Rangers got it done. Kyle, you are next on Talkback. Good afternoon, and if you're gonna woo woo woo, just give me a heads up, okay?
I trust me, I know how you'll probably feel this morning, so it's all good, buddy. First of all,
yeah.
Can I just say how amazing it's been the last not even 12 months, 6 months of us. First, it's the Jays going all the World Series finals. What a high that is. Now we've got the Kitchener Rangers making it and winning the OHL championship, heading on to the Memorial Cup. I mean, people, you don't need anything else to get as high as you can right now because of just how amazing it's been. And listening to your broadcast, listening to you and Josh Piercy, I wish you guys had the call-in show after for all of us calling in, at the end of the season. But I totally understand listening to Josh talk to you about lifting the trophy last night. I could hear it in your eyes, or hear it in your voice, Mike. You had tears in your eyes. How was that? Like, seriously, what was that like before I give a whoop whoop? I just want to know the feeling.
It was surreal is the only word that comes to mind, Kyle. As the time was winding down, I was basically counting the minutes, 6 to 5 to 4 to 3, and counting them down on the broadcast so fans listening knew how much time was left. And I was getting a lump in my throat as that was happening. But then when Sam O'Reilly scored the goal, I don't know what happened. It became a blur after that, because then, of course, 15 seconds to go, you're up by 2 and you knew it was over. And then everything just changed, and it was, I don't know how to describe it then. It was more businesslike, but I had a lump in my throat for the final 6-7 minutes of that game last night.
you and Josh and everybody totally deserve it. I mean, everybody deserves it. You know, the Kitchener City deserves it. The fans, the organization, how much work that you two put in, and Lucy driving the late nights and going up to the whole season. It comes together. This is what it's all about, man. I'm excited for you. Let's go Rangers. We got one more now. The Memorial Cup going to Kelowna. Mike, you're gonna have the broadcast on. I'm assuming on 570 when you're in Kelowna.
That is the plan.
Let's go, buddy. I'm going to take your headphones off for 2 seconds here. Let's go, Rangers. Woo! I cannot believe it. OHL champions, baby. The Kitchener Rangers are the OHL champions for the 2025-2026 season. Wow! Well, totally worth it. What an amazing experience. Mike, you enjoy it. I can't wait to hear everybody else's call. Enjoy it, buddy. 100% deserved. Thanks, man.
Thank you, Kyle. Good to hear from you today. Thank you for the warning so I could just move the headphones off my ears a little bit. I love that enthusiasm. And listen, Kyle is not wrong. We, this city, are OHL champions. That's what we are. And I deserve none of the credit, none. Like, I'm so happy for this organization. I'm so happy for this organization because we know how it goes in sports, right? They love you when you're winning. They don't love you when you're not winning. And it's not for lack of effort. Year in and year out, we've been so close before. And last night, we got to the peak of that mountain. And in the Ontario Hockey League this season, your Kitchener Rangers stand alone. And I love that for this organization. Absolutely love it. Grant is next on Talkback this afternoon. Hello, Grant.
Yeah, good day. How are you doing? You're good?
I'm very, very, very tired. How are you doing?
Yeah, we had a good visit with my other brother. I haven't seen him in 7 years. He lives in Grand Bend, so the visit just seemed like 10 minutes. Gary said it seemed 20. He was here for a good hour and a half. So, yeah. So, way to go, Bradley. Enjoyed your visit. And, I had a bit of a lump in my throat last night. Kind of wanted to cry because, hey, look at this. Oh, and it's hard to imagine when you, Mr. Josh, was talking about it starting in September. It seems to go by so fast. I'd like to repeat this. I like to see the season again. Yeah, so I'm really looking forward to the Memorial Cup. Yeah, and thank you, Betty O'Reilly. She was on a couple of nights ago, interviewed.
Yes, I saw that as well online after Sam's mom, Betty. And it's funny that Grant says it seems like just yesterday we were starting the season. And in some respects, it does seem that way. Last night was game number 86 this season for the Kitchener Rangers, including the regular season. And after the Game 3 win on Sunday, the off day Monday, I found myself getting inside my head a little bit and thinking, and then it didn't seem like such a fast season. I was thinking back on all of the different memories from this season, right? The dinners, the breakfasts, the road trips, the games. And it got me really emotional because I started thinking, well, it's going to end. You know, like whether it ended last night or it ended later in this series, it was going to end. And I wasn't sure I wanted it to end. It's been so much fun. So much fun. Your Kitchener Rangers are OHL champions in 2026. And we'll take more of your calls on Talkback right after this on the Mike Farwell Show. This is 570 News Radio and Rogers TV. It is like a daily water cooler discussion about the issues of the day. Things that are on your mind. Let's gather round. Let's talk about them. Just make the phone call. We are here to answer. Ken is next on Talkback. Farwell's Force, member number 988. Good afternoon, Ken.
Hey, Mike, what's new? Oh, my God. I can't believe our little hockey team did that.
Oh, my God, Ken. Neither can I. I mean, I can, but I can't.
But it wasn't smoke and mirrors. I mean, they were like full measure for every game, every series. They were just dominant. And every time, like, Barry would tie the score, and you think, oh, here we go, right? And they would just turn it up a notch and go get that 1-goal lead back again and then defend it. But what I wanted to say was, I'll have what Kyle's having.
He is never short on enthusiasm, is he?
If I had that kind of energy, man, that would be off the chain. But anyway, I listened to as much as I could of your interview with Mike McKenzie this morning. And if he commented on this, please let me know. But if the question I would have loved to have asked him was this: if we had have been awarded the Memorial Cup, would he have still made the trades and given away all the draft picks to get O'Reilly and Woolley?
I don't think.
I wonder,
I don't think so. I think the answer to that would be a firm no. This was the pivot, if you will, when the Rangers learned in November that they were not going to be hosting next year. They thought, okay, then we'll just use the assets we have and we will go all in this year.
Yeah, but and those players are like unbelievably great. But even without them and putting others, like we had a pretty good lineup anyway. But I kind of wonder, because it seems like all the teams that think they have a chance, no matter who's hosting or whatever, when they get close to the deadline, they go get the big shooters if they can. And I kind of wonder, if we had have won the bid, would they have still made the trades? And here we'd be going to Kelowna this year and maybe potentially hosting next year. It would have been pretty cool. But I wonder how he would answer that question, because I'm sure some of those things were probably in the works before we lost the bid.
Sure. Yeah.
But anyway, and just one other comment. I'm a huge Blue Jay fan too, and I'm disappointed, but really not surprised, because it seems like last June the team got sort of sprinkled with pixie dust or something, right? And everything they did went right. And like at the stroke of midnight in the 10th inning in the Game 7, it's like the clock struck midnight and it was over. And now it's like, oh, this is the team we actually have. And, I just don't like the fact that they either didn't offer the one pitcher, Bassett, they didn't offer him a contract. I can't believe that, because I thought he was the ultimate teammate through the playoffs, taking his assignment in the bullpen, everything, without complaining, and he just pitched his heart out through the playoffs. And I don't like the fact that they let Bo Bichette go, and I don't care that he's not hitting that well with the Mets. I mean, everything's changed for him too, and I just don't like the fact that they just couldn't bring those two guys back. And so I'm prepared to see what happens, but I think the season's over for them, to be honest. I don't think we're going to see anything near what happened last year.
No, I agree. It's unfortunate, but I guess they got sprinkled with whatever the opposite of pixie dust is this year. All the injuries certainly haven't helped.
Yeah. Anyway, what a week. You go to Kelowna, I'm going to Alaska, baby.
Attaboy. Attaboy.
What a schedule screw up I made a year and a half ago when I booked this trip. I didn't even dawn on me I should be blocking out the Memorial Cup week, but I'll see if I can follow it along in whatever strait I might be in Alaska. But you have a great time, and I'll follow as best I can.
Thanks, Ken. Great to hear from you today. Appreciate it.
Take care.
You too. Bye-bye. Ken is Farwell's Force, member number 988. Remember that number, 988. That is your mental health crisis line. And don't worry, Ken, we stream anywhere in the world at 570 News Radio. You can find us on an app. You can find us on a smart speaker on your computer. And we will be broadcasting those games so that you can hear them when you're in Alaska or elsewhere. We always do this thing on our Rangers broadcasts, calling out long-distance listeners. And Australia, the Netherlands. I mean, I could just go on and on last night. U.S. Virgin Islands, we had listeners from. It's great. So you can travel and stay up to date with the Rangers through this station and the wonders of the interwebs. JB, you're next on Talkback. Good afternoon.
I was convinced that maybe somebody in Barrie was trying to sabotage the broadcast in the first period, given the technical issues that were happening.
They were in-house. They really were. And I would have guessed the same thing. It was a bit of a nightmare for us early on, but they were having some trouble in the arena.
Oh, okay. Okay, fair enough. I mean, you guys did what you could. You called in. It sounded okay-ish on the cell phone, but then, you guys got it fixed quick enough. But, yeah, I don't know. Good win.
You think?
Cheers.
All right, JB, thanks. Yeah, I don't even want to relive that part of my night. Thank you very much. The biggest game of the season. And the first period was a challenging period from a technical standpoint. But we got it sorted, and we were able to broadcast much more clearly. And we got to the end of that game with the Kitchener Rangers winning the OHL championship. Brad, you're next on Talkback. Good afternoon.
Hey, Mike. Yeah, second time calling in today. Actually.
I love it. Keep it up.
Yeah, I just want to reply. I call and talk about Bichette and Bassett. I mean, and I had to call in to essentially rebut that. I mean, they tried everything to get Bichette to sign with them, right? Even longer deal and stuff like that. And the reality is, Bo just took the money. And how would we feel if we were dishing out $40 million a year for 3 years, and the dude's hitting maybe around the Mendoza line? Maybe he might be about 2.25 or so. It'd just be a complete waste of money. And then Bassett, I mean, come on, the guy's like 36, 37 years old, and he wanted too much money. Right? So I could understand letting those guys walk, but Bichette, man, did they ever. They were going to open the vault for him, just like they did but he just wouldn't take it. So, and that's it. That's the last time I'm going to call today.
All right, but you're welcome to call any other day, okay?
Yes, thanks, man. Have a good one.
Thanks, Brad.
Happy Wednesday.
You
Bye.
too. All right. Happy Wednesday. It's Wednesday. Thank you for the reminder. Listen, I won't go too deep into the weeds, but I was never a big Bo Bichette fan. I know he was hitting on a tear last year. I never loved the defense, and I think, Ernie Clement makes pretty good contact most of the time, and Andres Jimenez is pretty good in the middle infield, so I think we might have actually upgraded defensively after all of this. But anyway, Liam is next on Talkback this afternoon. Hello, Liam.
Good afternoon, Mike. Boy, oh boy, I am just so speechless because finally the Kitchener Rangers win the NHL championship as a fan, and I got to listen to you and Josh Pierce go through the emotions that all the Kitchener Rangers fans have felt. And boy, that was just incredible, really. And I mean, you could say what you want about getting Samurai from the London Knights, but hey, if they have the winning formula, you may as well bring the winning formula to the team.
Yeah, there's an old saying, if you can't beat them, join them. And we got a couple of London Knights to join the Kitchener Rangers.
I was listening to a caller about whether the trade Kitchener Rangers won the Memorial bid. And the thing about it is, I think the bid, pretty much everyone was quoting Michael Jordan from the Kitchener Rangers, like, I took it personally. And I really think that losing the bid motivated the team even more to, instead of buying their way to a Memorial Cup bid, instead they worked their way as a team day by day, just making it all the way and stuff. And boy, I'm just super glad that not only I get to you and John Piercy all season, this team.
Oh, Liam, your phone is just... it's given up the ghost on us, Liam. I'm sorry about that, but I'm glad that you enjoyed what the Rangers were able to do. I think they did take it personally when they didn't win the Memorial Cup bid. So they went out and said, this is what we're doing instead. And they won their way to an OHL championship. We're only halfway through Talkback. We continue. Open lines for you to have your say on the issues of the day here on the Mike Farwell Show, 570 News Radio and Rogers TV. Every day, noon till 1, we open the phone lines and give you direct access to our radio station so you can have your say. Might as well call it the Have Your Say Hour. Lots of says about the Kitchener Rangers today. I think I know why. First OHL championship in 18 years. And we won it last night on the road in Barrie. Let's get right back to the phones. Preston Paul, Farwell's Force, member number 45. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Mike. What kind of good news is happening today?
Oh, my goodness. I'm not sure, actually. Help me out with that. What kind of good news happened today?
Well, my heart started back up again about 15 seconds when that goal went in. I can tell you that.
You and me both, my friend. You and me both.
I was on pins and needles out in the garage, so if anybody was walking by the house when that goal went in, I was clapping and jumping and screaming, and people would have thought something was going on in the garage, but that was just unbelievable. Can't wait till next week. Oh, that was great, Mike.
Yeah, it really was something. And this team, Paul, think about it. 16-2 in the playoffs. 16-2.
Yep, that's an accomplishment in itself. They have to be so proud of themselves on how they handle themselves, and just watching going back and forth between the house and the garage. But I got in to watch the trophy presentation and watch all the boys get to lift it up. But they were off the air when you got to touch it. So, but that was just unbelievable.
It really was, Paul. It really was.
Thanks, Mike. You have a great one, buddy.
Thanks, pal. Great to hear from you today. I get choked up. I did get to touch that trophy. Brad Flynn, that son of a gun, handed me the J. Ross Robertson trophy last night. I never would have gone near it. That was a special moment for sure. The whole evening was. And, you know, we talk about that 16-2 record the Rangers had in the playoffs. I remember when Jersey Bill called and he talked about the trend in the numbers that he had noticed in these playoffs. The Rangers swept round 1. In round 2, they lost game 4. In round 3, they lost game 3. So he thought, well, if the trend continues in round 4, the Rangers will lose game 2. Well, the Rangers didn't lose any games in round number 4. But here's the way the trend ended up working. The Rangers swept round 1, lost a game in round 2, lost a game in round 3, and then swept round 4. So they sandwiched 2 5-game series with a couple of sweeps. That's the number pattern that worked out for the Rangers. 16-2 in the playoffs. Let's go next to Mark on Talkback this afternoon. Hello, Mark.
Hello, Mike. You still awake?
Oh, buddy. What do we got here? 22 more minutes, buddy. 20. If you want to talk for all 22 of them, go right ahead.
So nice to hear, Mike, that you got to raise that trophy.
Oh, I can't even. Don't. You'll get me all misty-eyed again in here. Anyway.
Anyway, Mike,
Yeah.
I watched the post-game show, too, on TSN,
Mm-hmm.
and they had Edwards
Oh, yeah.
talking. And he had blood all over his jersey, and he had stitches in his forehead. Now, there's a hockey player, Mike.
You better believe it, Mark. You better believe it.
I know. I love that team. And guess what, Mike?
What's that,
They
Mark?
are going all the way, baby.
Attaboy, baby. Let's go, you Rangers!
Okay.
Okay, buddy. Thanks very much for the call. I'm going to tell you a little Dylan Edwards story real quick. First of all, the gash in his head. If you haven't seen this online, like Dylan Edwards' jersey is covered. We have a saying in hockey, he's leaking. If somebody gets clipped with a high stick or whatever, they drip a little blood. This was pouring. It was incredible the amount of blood coming out of Dylan Edwards' head. Why? Because when the championship was settled and the Kitchener Rangers had won, time ran off the clock. Everybody pours off the bench into the Rangers zone to celebrate. They all crowd around the goalie. You've seen this, right? Well, Christian Kirsch, the goaltender, threw his goal stick into the air, and when it came down, it could not have connected any better with the head of Dylan Edwards. And it was the blade of the stick, and it sliced this poor kid. Like, imagine all of the things that can happen to you in a game of hockey because of how physical it is and how fast it is, and it's friendly fire, so to speak, that gets you. The goal stick of Christian Kirsch slices Dylan Edwards' head open. He had to get some stitches, and he was still there. The other Dylan Edwards story I'm going to share with you because this was fun. This was fun. So we were hanging around Barrie. I think it's okay that I tell you this. We were hanging around Barrie for a little bit last night after the game because the celebration goes on for a little while. There are lots of friends and family and whatnot have you. And at one point, when we were down around the Rangers dressing room area, Dylan Edwards wanted to get outside, out back of the arena with some of his buddies, but he still had his skates on. Now, please don't ask me why he didn't want to take his skates off first. I don't know. But in the bowels of the arena, there are only so many places where there are mats and whatnot that you can walk on with your skates. So he got onto a little, he got onto a cart that you would use to move equipment around. And he said, Farzy, push me down to the door. Let's go. And so we were in a soapbox derby. And I pushed Dylan Edwards in this cart down to the back door so he could be out with his buddies and not have his skates walk on the floor where he would obviously ruin the blades. That was fun. I just thought it was a fun little story. And Dylan Edwards did not miss a second of the celebration, despite getting cut for all those stitches after being hit by his goaltender's stick in the head. Dave is with us next on Talkback, Farwell's Force, member number 47. Good afternoon, Dave.
Afternoon again, Mike. Just 3 quick comments. One, Bobby Mack must be grinning from ear to ear on the results of the Kitchener Rangers last night. And I'll let you elaborate to the listeners who Bobby Mack is. Number 2, not surprised Berube was let go by the new GM. And number 3, a quick shout out to Hamilton for snaring or being awarded the new franchise. That's my comments. Go. Have a great day.
All right, Dave. Appreciate it. I'm not surprised either that the Toronto Maple Leafs have parted ways with Craig Berube. And don't you dare. I know that UC Ahokas is going to get a professional opportunity, maybe in the NHL next year. But don't wish the Maple Leafs on UC Ahokas, okay? He deserves better. Bobby Mack, Bobby Margarita, the original insider, one of the most, what was the other, so many accolades that you could attach Bob McKenzie's name to. One of the best there has been in the sports writing and broadcasting business. And he just so happens to be the father of Mike McKenzie, the general manager of the Kitchener Rangers. And I got to see Bob last night, and we had a quick chat. And he is absolutely grinning ear to ear. Bob, you might know, started his newspaper sports writing career in Sault Ste. Marie with the Sault Star. And he covered the Sault Ste. Marie Greyhounds. So he knows very much of the Ontario Hockey League and how difficult it is to win championships. In fact, a player on that Sault Ste. Marie team way back in the day, Bob married that player's sister. Yes. So a former Sault Ste. Marie Greyhound is the uncle of Mike McKenzie, the current general manager of the Kitchener Rangers. The connections just keep going. Anyway, Bob was, of course, very happy for his son and has intentions to spend some time out in Kelowna watching the Memorial Cup and taking the grandkids with him. So that's the part of life that I think Bob McKenzie is enjoying the most right now. When he saw me last night, he says, "Are they going to make you go to work tomorrow?" I said, "Yes. They're going to make me go to work tomorrow." As Jeff Krzakis, the associate coach of the Kitchener Rangers, is fond of saying, you can't bark like a dog at night and piss like a puppy in the morning. I'm just quoting here. So I decided if I was barking like a dog last night, we're gonna get at her again today. Ron is next. Farwell's Force member number 32. Good afternoon, Ron.
Hey, Farwell, if I would put a little bit more gas in your tank for you, give you a little bit more of a break there. So I guess you must be on seventh heaven with the win and everything else. Unfortunately, I was at the Jays game watching a terrible game proceed in front of my face.
You gotta really reconsider your priorities, friend.
Hey, Blue Jays first, man. I grew up at Exhibition Stadium, so that's my thing. So
okay.
My parents worked at DX, so I was always at the stadium. So that was that's my thing. But anyways, I bet you must be on seventh heaven, like I said. And I have a question actually by standards, because I don't know if you brought it up or not, or I might have missed it. Is this like one of the best records ever for an OHL team to go this far in the series to win the championship with the way that they won it? Or have there been other teams that have better records to win the OHL championship?
Yeah, that's a great question, Ron. And believe it or not, 16-2 has been done many times in the past. I think the London Knights did one 16-1, which is the best. Nobody has gone through unbeaten. Yeah, was it just last year that the Knights went through 16-1? That is the best ever. But 16-2 has been done before, and it was just done again by our Kitchener Rangers as they win the OHL championship last night. And we take a quick break here on the show. More of your calls, because the Talkback Hour is all yours here on the Mike Farwell Show. 570 News Radio, Rogers TV. The Talkback Hour is your opportunity to weigh in on the issues of the day. And in today's case, maybe it's your opportunity to tell the Kitchener Rangers what you think of their OHL championship season. Because, when we talk about it on the show, it tends to find its way to the ears who are supposed to hear it. But it's open lines, and you can talk about whatever it is you want. We'll go to Wendy next on Talkback. Good afternoon, Wendy.
Well, hi, Mike. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. How are you?
I am ecstatic. What an excellent run.
It was
just
something
one
else.
One more stop, Memorial Cup. That's it.
That's the only stop we've got left. But boy, oh boy, wouldn't it be nice to come home with another trophy?
Here we come. But you know what really, really upsets me about this entire thing?
Uh-oh.
So this morning, I wake up this morning, and I always watch CP24, and I watched and heard how the Blue Jays lost about 7 different times throughout their segment. Not one mention of the OHL at all. And then I came into work and we get the KW record. I don't know why anyone would get that paper anymore, because it's just a useless fold. And there's a front page, nothing. Front page of the sports, nothing.
Well, Wendy, listen, I'm going to defend my colleagues in journalism here. I think the folks at the Waterloo Region Record are doing terrific work. It's unfortunate that the state of media today is what it is, and that means that they have to go to press so early to get the paper printed now that they can't meet the deadline of, the game would not be over before a deadline for publishing. So it'll be in the paper tomorrow, but unfortunately...
I'm going to disagree with you there, because it certainly would have been on there. It was on there for Super Bowl. It's on there for NHL stuff.
I'm not sure.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but I don't...
on Monday morning, it's going to have the Super Bowl champion winner on their pages, or else it wouldn't sell.
Wendy, I'm telling you, not on the Waterloo Region Record, I'm afraid. You watch, because the Super Bowl doesn't end until 10 o'clock at night.
I'm holding you
You
to
can.
that.
You hold me right to it, I promise.
All right.
Okay.
Well, listen, we will look forward to hearing you over the Memorial Cup. And we look forward to seeing you in June.
I can't wait. Thanks, Wendy.
Thank you.
Great to hear from you today. Bye-bye. Look, I get it. I get the frustration. Let me put it to you this way. I mean, you remember this as well as I do, right? When I was a kid, I like to joke that my first job in media was in newspapers, because I delivered what was then called the Kitchener-Waterloo Record, the KW Record. And it was an afternoon paper. You got it before dinner, because I would come home from school at St. Anne's Elementary and deliver my newspapers by about 4:30 every day. And there was a time that absolutely you could... I remember working with the reporters who covered the Kitchener Rangers with the Waterloo Region record. And if a game went into overtime or even just, your regular game, if you will, there was deadline pressure for these guys. They were all guys when I was covering the team. Every once in a while, Christine Rivet would fill in. Anyway, it's neither here nor there. They were under deadline pressure. Game finishes, we have to get our story submitted before the deadline for printing. And I'm not going to get into all of the logistics of how the Waterloo Region Record is printing its paper today. It's not my story to tell, and I don't know all of the ins and outs of it, but I know it's obviously not printed in Kitchener anymore. They farm this out. I'm pretty sure, the last I heard, is actually being printed in Buffalo. Might still be in Hamilton, but I think it crossed the border. Regardless, the deadlines are far too early for anything that happened the night before to make it into the morning paper. That's just the reality of it. I remain impressed in this business by the Globe and Mail, by way of example, because they are a national newspaper. They do have their regional editions, and while resources are getting thinner everywhere, they do still find a way to be extremely current with what comes out in the paper. So I don't know what their deadlines are for getting to the publisher or getting to the printing press, but nonetheless, the Globe and Mail is still doing that and is as current as can be. But with the Waterloo Region Record, they just don't have the resources anymore. And unfortunately, I'm not surprised that you would be watching a Toronto-based news network in the morning and not hear about the Ontario Hockey League, because even though the Greater Toronto area in Brampton has an Ontario Hockey League team, those networks tend to focus on national and provincial news. And if they're doing anything quote-unquote local, it'll be Toronto news only. And so they would never, I don't think, even if the Brampton Steelheads were in the Memorial Cup or in the OHL Championship, would they make mention of it? I'm hard-pressed to think that they would. Part of that is resourcing again, because you don't have a dedicated sports person there probably. And the other part of it is, unfortunately, just because of where the Ontario Hockey League as a sport fits into the overall sports file, behind the NBA, Major League Baseball, Major League Soccer, the National Football League, IndyCar, NASCAR, who knows? Who knows? Anyway, it would be one reason, Wendy, that I would remind you to make sure you listen to this radio station for 15 minutes or so every morning, maybe more, because we will tell you what's going on in this community. It's one thing that I am fiercely proud of on this show, that this show keeps us connected to one another here in the community and keeps us connected to the local issues. We are the 10th largest municipality in this country. And I think what happens here matters a whole heck of a lot, not just here, but elsewhere. And so we want to keep our fingers on the pulse as best we can with what is going on in this community. We will always be on this show as long as I am here. This is my promise to you, a local show. Of course, we'll talk about national, provincial, international topics. Of course we will. But the bread and butter of what we do here on this show and at this radio station is going to be local news and information. What's going on in our 3 cities and our 4 townships. So I would encourage you. We are resource thin as well, but we're going to keep punching above our weight when it comes to delivering you the information that matters the most in your neighborhood. I promise you that. So make a note. Instead of flipping on CP24, just flip on 570 News Radio. You'll get your fill in the morning. Congratulations to every single person with a hand on that Kitchener Rangers OHL championship. I could not be happier for that team and for that city. I'm going to go take a nap. I'm going to come back tomorrow morning at 9, and you are invited to the conversation then. My name is Mike Farwell. You are a force for good. Bye for now.